Heyo, and welcome to this special Friday. It's special for many, many reasons. First, it's Swedish Midsummer, and which is the biggest holiday of the year. Midsummer is bigger than Christmas over here. Midsummer is where we eat our pickled herring, we drink our drinks, we drink our liquors, we dance around a big phallic thing in the yard, and then we sacrifice something to the great. No, not the last part, but allegedly. Now we are doing a fundraiser for Rick Allen Transcripts, and I just heard from Teresa, Criminality, that we are already pretty close. How about that? We are already quite close to the goal. So this might be a 20-minute stream. No, it won't. No, it won't. For God's sakes, I have Andrea Burkhardt, I have Mo, I have Teresa, I have Bob from Defense Diaries. I'm going to milk this shit. At least for 2.5 hours, and then as many people know, Ian Ronkel is doing an interview with Alessi and Giannetti, and I'm going to send you all over there after 2.5 hours. And so yeah, I have a bunch of guests. I have even folks. Hey, yeah, me too. Yeah. I know. Panel is somewhat full, but I will start sending out links to the other people later on. But these specific people, let's just bring them on. First, the person with the link tree you are all going to be looking at links for. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for starting the actual fundraiser. I'm just here to, hey, over there.
Well, we appreciate it.
No worries. No. The fundraising is a bit of a speciality on this channel. I did it for Sakara Anderson. I already did it once for the twice, I think, for the Rick Allen Expert Fund and a few others. So, my pleasure. Or as my viewers tend to say, it's your fault because now we get to spin the wheel of regrets.
Well, I'm very excited because we planned a whole fundraising stream, and this is all eyes in a little group of us that were doing the fundraising. So we planned to have a fundraising stream, and we ended up just kind of posting it on social media just to let people know that this was kind of coming and what we were doing and how much it was going to be to do it. Today's the 10th day that it's been posted on social media, and our goal is $4,600, and we are currently sitting at $4,255 in 10 days.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy generous of people.
Yeah, it's very, very generous of people. And speaking of people, I heard that these are one. Let's start with Mo.
Hi, Mo.
Andrea.
Hello.
Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
And Bob.
What's up, Bob?
Hi.
What's up, team?
Hello.
What's up, Andrea? What's up, Mo? What's up, Nick?
I'm doing great, and I hope that tonight will be or today will be successful. Now, as Teresa informed us, they are, what is it, $345 from the goal of $4,600. Now, if we exceed this, because 46 is just a quota, you don't actually have the number from the court. So
do we get to dunk McClelland in a dunk tank?
We do that
Asking
anyway?
for a friend for humanity.
I wish I could create a game where all you have to dunk splash. Yeah,
That fundraiser would be off the charts.
I thought that pretty much
We
was
fixed the national debt.
trying to get public records from the court in Indiana.
I feel like I'm the one.
I
being
apologize
dunked.
greatly for my
Somebody's
state.
pushing my head down like underwater, saying like,
Hope you
no.
don't get dunked in the tank. Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
appreciate you taking the lead on it, Teresa, and getting this organized. It's I'm very familiar with kind of what's entailed and trying to crowdfund something like this, but it's so important. This is such an important case. The public access on this has been such a battle the whole way, and it really shouldn't be. It's something that should be transparent to everybody. So I just appreciate you so much for stepping up and taking it on. And I think we're in a good position to hopefully get it done.
She's a real one. She's a real one.
Yeah, she's the
Yeah,
real
This
one.
all started with just a couple handfuls of transcripts that I wanted, and then it turned into a full-blown, I guess we're doing transcripts. So just to let you guys know, and you guys are always welcome to join in on this, when we do get transcripts, we do a read-through of those transcripts with different people playing different characters, I guess you will.
I have
And
wigs.
so everybody has their own part and their own role. And I would love for all of you guys to partake in that. And you can pick whoever you'd like to be.
Oh, you know, I've done it. I think
You have done it. You have.
Rosie. I think I was Rosie, which makes sense.
It
Fellow
does.
paisan, you know. I mean, it's like I was
Hi,
feeling.
Ange.
What's up, Ange?
Ah,
Ange has done it a lot also. So obviously
Make
we're gonna
words,
have a lot
Ange.
of-
Say hi. Say hi, Ange. Hi,
Sorry.
Ange.
Hi, everybody. Took me a minute to get my audio up. How's it going?
Good.
it's going great. Welcome back from your hiatus. I'm glad I convinced you to show up.
I'm glad to be back, believe it or not. And I am not lying. I'm very happy to see all of you and to be talking about my favorite topic. So
Sarah.
Yeah. And before anything else, the link to where you can join in on the fundraiser is pinned on the top of the YouTube link or YouTube chat. I'm also streaming this on X and on Rumble, just so you know.
And
So
I want to thank you, Bob and Andrea, for covering this case, because even though I'm in Indiana, I'm not sitting on those horrible chairs, and peopling is not my jam. So I would listen to you at like 2.5, trying to get through at 4 a.m. pulling news stories for my show. But you guys gave me insight because it was so not transparent. I mean, I live in this state, and we basically got two very different sketches and down the hill added. It was an amazing drought of information.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, the whole way through. It wasn't just the trial. It was like that for 2 years. You know, I was driving in because fortunately I was close enough. I was like 2.5 hours out. So for every hearing, I mean, the only time she televised it was for the ambush. Like, literally.
Yeah.
And the day before that particular hearing took place, it was oddly enough, it was one of her more wordy orders. And she said, "Oh, well, you guys asked for cameras in the courtroom, and this one time I'm going to grant your wish, and I'm going to have cameras rolling in the courtroom." And I remember sitting in there that day, and that was up in her neck of the woods. So that was in Allen County. That wasn't in Carroll. So I drove up to Allen, and I had gotten a hotel the night before. And then I get into the courtroom, and I could tell something was strange right away. You know, I mean, Andrea and I understand kind of the dynamics of how it goes in a case. And, you know, I mean, there's plenty of times that lawyers will go back in chambers if they're powwowing with the judge, if there's housekeeping stuff that they want to take care of, you know, if it's of the substance that they need to pull a court reporter back there, which fortunately this turned out to be that. Like we were all very concerned that there was no recording or transcript of that, what went down back in those chambers. But as I sat there for an hour, and at some point, you know, both Brad and Andy were in the back, and he never came out. And then an hour later, an entire like flock of cops walks in, like 15 of them. They all sit in the jury box. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, are they dismissing the charges? You know, I'm being super optimistic in my head. I'm like, what is happening? And ultimately, Brad runs out. Kathy was sitting, you know, 2 seats over from me. Brad leans over and he's kind of whispering in Kathy's ear. And, you know, at that point, now we know he's telling her that we're going to withdraw here today. We'll explain it to you later. And it was incredible because Rick Allen never made an appearance in that courtroom that day. He was in the building, but he was never in the well of the courtroom. He was never spoken to by the judge on the record in the courtroom. And I came to find out later that she wouldn't allow him to come in chambers to hear what was going on. That whole thing was unbelievable. I had never seen anything like it. And I walked out of there when I found out, when she said this, you know, unexpected circumstances have taken place, and both of Richard Allen's counsel have withdrawn. And I'm like, what? You know, because you don't write you know, 130 page
Frank's memo.
And then the case, you just don't do it. Like, I knew that there was something nefarious going on, and it's just, and that was just really a microcosm of everything that happened in that case from the beginning, from the onset. You know, from when Diener recuses himself, you know, talking about bloodlust, and then moving forward, you know, and Ange was there with me the whole time watching all this fucking nightmare. Just like, I had never seen anything like it as an attorney. And Allie and I had a case where it was similar, where they booted Allie, that Garcia case that we tried in Omaha. Really hard fought. It was a death penalty case, and we were fighting. I mean, we were fighting like you're supposed to fight. We were filing everything that you're supposed to file in a death penalty case, and they could not stand Allison. You know, whether there was some kind of misogynistic shit going on, I don't know. I tend to think
she's effective,
or effective, or both. You know, whatever it was, but you know, so I felt like a kinship to those two guys in terms of what was going on in that case, and it was just. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, and it was scary, and you know, and it's still scary. It's like I'm no less afraid of what has happened in Carroll County, Indiana, than I was from the first time that I got a whiff that something stunk in Delphi. You know, and it's a case that deserves a whole lot more light shined on it, and she was very effective in keeping that thing in the dark, because you can see what the power of social media and the internet can do when you get people rallying behind a case, and the only way to let them know is by informing them what's going on, you know. And when she wouldn't allow the streaming on that case, which is absolutely allowed, and she actually sits on the committee for cameras in the courtroom in Indiana, Judge Gull does.
A little hypocritical.
Yeah, a little hypocritical. And she kept that thing in a cave, you know, the whole way. And Andrea will tell you horror stories about trying to cover that trial. You know, I was fortunate enough to have a seat, but man, for my friends in there that had to do that line thing, it was unspeakable. I couldn't even believe it. Like, I couldn't believe that adults that were just trying to cover a case were having to go through that kind of a nightmare in order just to get information, which is supposed to be public constitutionally. It's supposed to be public, and it was unbelievable, and it continues to be. So, you know, well, I'm so happy that you're doing this, Nick, and T. You know, I adore you, and I know that you keep fighting, and I know obviously Ange does too, and Andrea, all of us do. You know, I took a step back from it for a minute, especially when all that shit was going on with Michael Osbrook and Kara Winnicky, who I respect the hell out of. And I'm going to put that on the record out loud. I didn't say peep about whatever that nonsense was, but those two people were coming straight from the heart and straight from the belief that Rick Allen's a innocent man who was currently serving 130 years, and all they were trying to do was the right thing and to help that family. And you know, so I sat back and was pretty furious about what was going on, but I didn't know if I could help that situation by inserting myself, because people who say that
You
they
know, I adore you, Bob, but I have to cut you off really quick because I have to tell you that we've already reached our
Please
goal.
do.
Hey,
We've already
okay.
reached our goal. You guys, I was gonna
Hot
after
tub
Bob was
stream
done, I was
now.
gonna tell you guys how
Okay.
to.
We didn't even set the over under on how long it was going to take to
No,
meet
it's
the
been
goal.
done for a couple of minutes.
Thank you and goodbye.
Okay,
No.
I'm still done. I'm like, I'm sorry, Bob, I gotta cut you off.
I mean,
Because people are
if you
still
watch
trying to
my film,
donate, and I
talk
want to talk about the fact that we have reached our goal of $4,600.
Okay, okay.
Awesome.
Well, that was quick. All right, take
well-
care, everybody. Thank
Nice,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Now you're stuck with us. Now, Bob, you can talk all you want to.
Now, before Bob sucks out all the air, we also
I
reached
do what I
another.
can.
We also reached another goal. As I say down there, every $100 and 25 to me. I will spin the wheel of regrets. This is for entertainment value only. Well, not my entertainment, yours.
Hey, I'm a recovering Catholic. Masochism is my favorite.
Let's see where we get. We get to. Yeah, that's a very, very nice start. And let me bring up my favorite.
Wow. Yeah. Poor Nick. Yes.
My favorite shot glass.
I definitely feel like it was rigged.
Nice.
It was rigged to be a shot.
Yeah, let's see.
Poor guy.
Whiskey of choice is a Swedish whiskey.
Oh, I like
Then
it.
Old Hair.
Old hair. Sounds good. Sounds
Now,
good.
Nick, when you actually
from
make
real
it and buy
rabbits.
it in Sweden, is it still like $5 billion a bottle, or is that only when you import it and buy it in Sweden?
The imports are quite a bit more expensive, but since our Swedish companies are they don't produce that much, so it still gets quite. This is a $50 blended. Cheers.
Cheers.
Salute. Skull.
So Nick and I
Probably
had
better
talked a
than
little
boxed
bit
wine I'm
beforehand, too,
having.
about if we go over, like what can we do and what should we do when we go over the donated requirement. So obviously I want to kind of preface that by saying she gave me an estimate of $4,600. It's an estimate. So obviously having a little cushion is not a bad thing at all. But I didn't really expect to hit it in 10 days. So I wasn't really kind of worried about going over quite yet. So it wasn't on the top of my list of things to think about. So we have some thoughts and some ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys on panel and in chat, like what you guys think the best route would be to do with the money that people have donated if and when we go over. Because at this point, we are, even on this stream, we're going to be over. So we kind of thought about there's a possibility of maybe putting it on Rick's commissary. There's a possibility of donating it to an Innocence Project. There's the possibility of, is there a way that we can, and I'll just kind of throw that out there, like, can we pay Eldridge to continue her research on Libby's phone? Or is that even something that's possible? Like, what can we do to continue to fight for Rick? Like, where do we do with the money? Like, where should it go? What's the right place?
Well, I can tell you during the trial, Andrea came up to me and she's like, my viewers like really, really want to help financially. And she had asked me to talk to Kathy, and I went to Kathy and I said, look, we've got some people that really want to help you and Rick in whatever way possible. If it's, if Rick was going to be acquitted and they needed to get out and start a new life, whatever the case may be, if they needed to hole up in a different country, if Rick got out, I mean, whatever it was going to be. And Kathy was adamant. She definitely would like to see any money that was earned earmarked towards wrongful conviction work, prison reform. Those are things that she's become obviously, unfortunately, very, very familiar with in terms of the issues that exist in those two areas. So I know for a fact that's where Kathy would prefer to have the money go, because she wouldn't take it. She was like, I'm afraid to take money. He's like, I don't want to be sucked into something wherein it's people are raising funds for me and I'm going to get abused online. And like, she didn't want to do it. So that's where she wants prison reform, wrongful conviction, whether it be Innocence Projects or the like. I know that's where she'd like the money earmarked, and I could say that straight from her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in contact with Kathy? I mean, we know how she's doing now. Like, how is she doing? Like, obviously been months and.
Yeah, she's plugging along. Like she's taking it day by day, because I reached out to her when that whole thing was going on, and I was really trying to get Michael and Kara working. I still believe that post-conviction investigation needs to be starting now. I think it needed to be started when Michael and Kara wanted to start it. Like any talk of them trying to clout grab or get money was fucking ridiculous. It was insulting to those two people. And I was frankly disgusted by it. I couldn't believe there was such a misread, and we're in a situation where it was like we were eating ourselves, and that's what the people on the other side of this want to see. And it was really sad and unfortunate. I couldn't even bring myself to watch any of it. I didn't understand what it was about. I didn't understand how it arose, because I saw the contract. I was working with Dave, and Alice and I were both working with Dave, and I had a very, very long, detailed conversation with Kathy about exactly what this meant, because Kathy doesn't understand the process. And I've always told her, I'm like, I will be your your open book in terms of what we're talking about and what we need to happen, and I mean, her issues were, I'm not going to share them, but they were nothing as to what was being said publicly, but like, I don't even necessarily want to get into that. I just want to restate that Michael Osbrook and Kara Winnicke are of the highest integrity. And those are the type of people, when you're pushing them away for whatever reason, and they're willing to give up their time, shame on you. Whoever you are out there, shame on you.
I've got to say, Kara is my neighbor, and she has helped me out in person, real life, since I've gotten hurt, got CRPS 3 years ago. She has been there for me for a lot. So she is never one to put herself out there for fame or glory. She doesn't want that. She doesn't really even like coming on my channel, and I've only forced her to do it a couple times. She's not out there for this. She has a deep sense of justice and a Christian loving heart, and she was just offering to help. And it pisses me off that we are so cynical that we see help as something disingenuous, or there's something behind it. Because in her personal life, I can tell you, she has been nothing but great. Now I'm pissed off.
Yeah, well, she's one of the most gracious people I've ever known. As soon as I had the pleasure of meeting her, I immediately loved her. I mean, like, she's out there fighting the good fight every single day of her life, as is Michael Osbrook. If you have any questions about Michael Osbrook, I suggest you do a little research on what he does. He wins. That's all he gives a shit about. He goes in on habeas writs and he wins. I would hazard to guess that there's nobody in the country that has a higher success rate on habeas work than Michael Osbrook does. It was people talking out of school when they don't know what they're talking about, I mean, and it's like, I'm not the principal, I'm not going to pull people into my office. It's one of those things where I just didn't get what was happening. And I didn't really want to get involved with it on a social media level. I just back channel things, because you know what? This is serious business. This isn't some internet bullshit. A man's life is at stake. And people are sitting here on the internet talking shit about two people that were sacrificing their time for nothing other than to help Kathy and Rick Allen, period. End of conversation.
Now, I was asked to give a little summary here by the way, audience, on social media, I don't know if this is possible to get anything, especially today with Ian doing his interview later. But if you could post anywhere, Judge Gull worse than Judge Bev. I mean, it's not even close. So to put that out there in any way, shape, or form to make one crowd be aware, hey, we have this other thing here. You at least get to see the trial. We were denied. That's just the tip of the iceberg on how much worse the trial against Richard Allen was. But the brief summary is, in 2017, 2 girls in Delphi, Indiana, was found ended in quite gruesome way. And the local cops thought, hey, we can do this better. We don't need any help from the FBI. And then nothing happened, more or less, for 7 years. We got 2 out of 4 sketches of possible people that were persons of interest. First, the picture or sketch that vaguely resembled Rick Allen. Then sometime later, it was said, no, it's not this person. We are now looking for this young guy in his 20s with puffy hair. And then nothing until 2022. All of a sudden, Richard Allen was arrested. And everybody was, hey, we got the guy, but why doesn't he look like the sketch?
Also, have none of you cops been to the CVS for, a headache? Okay, call me crazy. Maybe I'm just a wine mom who has too many kids and too much true crime looking at.
What's up, Sean?
But
hey, guys.
You're telling me that he was in the town the entire time and you didn't have every guy you knew say, down the hill? Because I would have. I'd have been like, stand by the sketch. You're telling me you run in there to CVS.
Not a photograph. It's not a photograph.
We had how many people call in Ron Logan to the tip line and be like, that's obviously Bridge Guy, and not a single person was like, hey, that guy that gives me my prescription at CVS, he sure sounds like that Guys Down the Hill video. Not a single one.
Well, Tobe actually did an interview. Tobe Lesenby did an interview where he said that he actually had gone in and Richard Allen was the one who helped him at CVS.
Yeah. I mean, it's
the one time we have an actual cult in my country, my state will not allow it to happen. Like the one time the satanic panic is actually right. The one time that they can, demify
the closest,
D&D and heavy metal. And we're like, one dude did it.
Yeah. And one of the things that is so infuriating, let's compare Judge Bev with Judge Gull here. Judge Bev, she didn't like it, but she did allow a third-party culprit. Judge Gull did not, because there were no nexus, according to Judge Gull. Andrea, is confessions from other people considered a nexus in Indiana?
Seems like it's pretty direct evidence of another person's involvement, particularly with just the tiniest bit of corroboration. Like, I don't know, your blown alibi. Maybe that has a little something to do with it too.
Yeah. For you who are new to this case and wondering, what? Somebody else confessed? No. 2 people confessed who are in connection with each other, by the way. Well, it's Delphi, Indiana.
2 non-Richard Allen people. 2 people not Richard Allen.
2 people not Richard Allen. 2
and
people.
According to at least some of the filings too, knew some details that are pretty specific to how this crime was committed. Yeah. I mean, and there's so much around it. One of the most...
It was just a false memory, Andrea. It was just a false memory.
Just false memory.
Look, if you call the feds back after you lie to them, they're really okay with it.
It's totally not a big deal at all. They'll tell you. They'll tell you.
Yeah, because the feds definitely can't lie to potential suspects.
Yeah, no, they promised me. They didn't give me a written piece of paper saying they promised not to prosecute me. They just told me.
We checked with our legal team. Of course you can change your story even though you told us another one. Of course. Can
Hello,
somebody get
FBI
wiretap
customer
on the
service.
phone?
Press 4
Yeah.
for perjury.
For defense
The
team
difference that I
threatening to
see,
arrest you.
the difference I
Yeah.
see between Judge Gull and Judge Bev, it kind of has to do with like your perception of evil. And so Judge Canoni, she's like the modern kind of Hannah Arendt banality of evil, right? Hannah Arendt's very famous journalist.
Exact. Yes.
Yes, she was a Jewish woman. She had to flee Germany in the 1930s.
Yes. The Origins
Became
of Totalitarianism.
what's that?
Her book, The
Yes.
Origins of Totalitarianism.
The Origins of Totalitarianism is one of her works. She's a wonderful thinker. She was a student of Martin Heidegger, ironically a Nazi, but she wrote this long story about the trial of oh gosh, and now I'm like blowing his name. Which Nazi was it that they tried in Nuremberg in the 1960s? Not Himmler.
No, Eichmann.
In the six.
Eichmann. Thank you. Yes, Eichmann.
The Israelis got him.
Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And he had fled to South America, and the Israelis found him and kidnapped him. So she went and covered this trial for the New Yorker, and she ended up writing this long piece about it, about how for her, like this coming face to face with evil was kind of it was kind of a letdown. And there's this banality to it because you expected like demons and monsters and horns and bad motivations and things like that. But really what you had was just bureaucratic complacency.
Yes.
A lot of people not really caring and just going along with the system because that's how it is. So it's this modern idea of kind of the banality of evil. And that sits very well with Judge Bev for me and kind of my read on her. She's not necessarily malicious, but boy, does she take advantage of this system and the benefits that it gives her and just the way it enables her to control outcomes in a way that, you know, may not really be justice in a lot of different situations. Gull is like Dante, okay? Gull is Dante's version of good versus evil. I mean, nothing like anything I've ever seen in a courtroom in my life when it comes to just basic regard for the law. There was none. There was like contempt. It was shocking. Such basic things like exhibits that have been introduced in the trial, admitted in the trial. Everybody has a right to see them, but you are going to provide this privileged access to people that you've decided are good enough. Credentialed media people can see the exhibits during trial, but anybody who doesn't have a press pass, a media pass, doesn't get to view the exhibits. Like there's so obviously no basis for this in the law at all. And it's so fundamentally contrary to the whole First Amendment right of public access to trials that it's just absolutely astonishing that she would do something like that. Like you would think just the tiniest little bit of respect for the law would be enough to keep you in check, but it wasn't for her. So just that whole, you know, the arrogance of the Lucifer and all that kind of thing, like very different dynamic on
it
evil
is.
and Judge Gull's courtroom.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Andrea. You know, Gull knows she's wrong
Yes.
and she's being malicious and evil. Bev is dumb. You know, as I said this, and I don't know if you heard it, Andrea. There's a bell curve of competency and
Hi, Ian.
Judge.
Ian.
Hello.
Getting
Ian.
ready for the big show.
A little nervous.
But-
Yep.
Oh, you're gonna be. It's gonna be great. It's gonna
You're
be
gonna
great.
crush it, dude. Don't worry
It'd be
about it.
Yeah.
It's either gonna be great or it's gonna be the best catfish
ever.
ever. We don't know yet.
It's going to be
If
flipped,
so, it's
it's gonna
been
be flipped and spread across social media either way.
that's true.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Gull and Canoni, Gull's on the above average competency end. She knows what she's doing. She's not an idiot.
Very smart.
Bev is on the bottom end of it. She's below average. And and Karen got lucky because a bad judge, even if you have the facts and even if you have the evidence on your side, she'll screw you over. You could still lose because all she has to do, here's my decision. The Court of Appeals goes, she made a decision. Sorry, it probably wasn't the best. Oh, well. And Karen, out of spite of Bev's incompetence, and she'll never realize or be willing or smart enough to admit she was probably wrong on things. I mean, we had the jury instructions. The second trial, the second time through, I'm not going to fix stuff. And then when the jury clearly is like, we don't know what we're doing, number one. And then number two, the jury was like, if we do this, are you going to screw her over? They didn't trust anybody. They didn't trust Bev to be honest about what was going to happen. So they said, if we do this, what happens? I mean, they didn't trust the process at all. It was really a shocker. And then only then did she willingly change the instructions a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was only after that second part and that second time through. Because I don't think she realizes how much of a laughingstock she is. Gull knows Gull doesn't care.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't care.
She's entitled to her fiefdom in Indiana, and
yeah,
people
and
that
this
go there
whole
have to bend
process,
the knee.
she's continuing to do it. This whole issue with having a hard time getting the transcripts, and even still now, months later, the exhibits, they should be public, they should be out there, they are not. She just continues with impunity.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a different level, as Sean said. Judge Gull is competent. She just don't want to be fair, or she knows what she should do, and she chooses the exact opposite. It's like the definition of evil is knowing what good is, and still do evil. So it's a choice for Judge Gull, and that makes her on a completely different level than Judge Bev Canoni.
I think it was night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I had just started my YouTube channel when I started covering that. And I'm talking about Richard Allen's case. I was very small channel, and I've never.
You've done all right since.
Yeah, I put a lot of work in, man. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a judge refuse to schedule any kind of substantive motion, no matter what they filed, for months and months and months on end. And then they'd have a substantive hearing after a year and a half or 2 years when she finally schedules this 3 days where they're supposed to convince her that there's some kind of nexus, which she has no idea what that means. She's sitting up on that bench and uses that word and has absolutely no concept of what that means. And
Did you not read her email, Bob? She said that she understands exactly what nexus
She doesn't care what it means.
She
She's
doesn't
not
give a
going
shit.
to tell you what it
as a high
means because
schooler.
then you might be able to meet her standards. So if she keeps
Andrea, it was like I've never seen and if you want to look at a docket that is devoid of any substance, you look at that docket from the day that this case started. That woman, anytime she ruled, she would not give a basis in the law.
Yeah.
She would not cite a case.
And that's how she insulates herself.
Yeah, dude, it was unbelievable. I mean, that whole sham that I was telling that long story about when she booted these two guys off that case, and that's when Karen Winicky came riding in on her gallant steed and said, "I'm coming in. I'm going to help y'all." Nobody paid Karen Winicky a dime, and her and Lehman got those two guys back on the case. And just so you have an understanding, the Supreme Court of Indiana ruled that they were back on the case within an hour. I think by the time I left the restaurant with those guys, which was about an hour and a half, there was already an order that they were reinstated the case. That should speak volumes as to what was going on. And it was like, they didn't really argue, because they have a very limited amount of time for oral argument in there. And they didn't touch upon, because they had asked to have her removed from the case, which was the second or third time they had tried to get her off that case. Why that woman wanted to stay on that case is beyond me. It wasn't inter-county. It was a nightmare for her in terms of just bad. Like anybody that was following that case is like, this woman is from hell. Like what is she doing? It was because it was always denied without hearing. Denied without hearing, and then no basis in the law. I mean, it would be a one-line order that she would just upload, and then a couple days later or a day later, we'd see a written order. I have never seen anything like it. As much as Canoni was biased, and there's no question about that, this is a night and day situation. Judge Gull was actively got him convicted by denying Richard Allen the ability to put on a defense at all. They had no choice but to go reasonable doubt when they had a completely viable defense that should have been brought in that courtroom. And it was shocking. I'm still shocked and infuriated by it. And you know, I just hope to God that if the appeal doesn't work, that we haven't blown it with Michael and Kara or the the ND Innocence Project. We need somebody to get this thing so that the Post-Conviction Relief Act petition does what it has to do, because this is a nightmare. It really is.
Let's not forget that the same day as the Supreme Court is also the same day that Mr. McClelland decided to add additional charges to Rick Allen.
Straight up murder.
Yes.
Straight up murder. Because that was it. The exact same day. Within, I think, 15 minutes of the argument ending is when McClelland added that charge.
Yeah.
There was a felony murder case. You know, and any defense attorney knows felony murder. I mean, you don't have to prove the murder. You just have to prove that the underlying charge caused the murder, which was in this case the kidnappings that led to the murders of Abby and Libby. So, it's a really, really upsetting case. I really hope that everybody in here continues to shout about this case, because whether you think Richard Allen's innocent or guilty is kind of an aside, because the fact of the matter is the man was railroaded. You know, I mean, like,
I have a question for you guys, though, since you guys talked about Judge Gull versus Judge Bev. Can we talk about Nick McClelland versus Hank Brennan?
Hank Brennan.
I
think Hank Brennan wins the evil scale on that one, personally. Nick McClelland, very bad, very, very slimy, but also just comes across to me as kind of your run-of-the-mill ambitious county prosecutor, you know, wants to be a legislator or something like that. So it's all ambition driven and very predictable for that reason. With Hank, I don't think you can find that kind of motive in him. So just a little preview. I've got my Substack here in my bio, but of course it's fallen by the wayside in the last 2 months because the Karen Reed stream has consumed the entire universe. So my deep, sincere apologies to everybody supporting me on Substack, but I will be back soon. And one of the things I had somebody send me some copies of transcripts from back in the Whitey Bulger trial. So I have some cross-examinations that Hank conducted back during the Whitey Bulger trial. And guys, I mean, it's a thing to see. It really is. Like, Hank is the same person that he's always been. There's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Morrissey knew exactly what he was getting when he chose to hire Hank Brennan for this prosecution.
But wouldn't you agree it's much different for a defense attorney to be slimy than the prosecutor? I think, I don't know. Just the perception, I think, is defense attorneys, you know, they get the rap of being the bad guy regardless. And the Commonwealth or the state is supposed to be, you know, up on the pedestal and above that. So, I mean, how do you feel about him being like the actual prosecutor acting like such a slimeball?
Well, yeah, I mean, the prosecutors are supposed to be held to a higher standard. They have their own sets of ethical rules. Like, you're not supposed to be just an advocate like any other advocate. And he just seems very fundamentally unequipped for that kind of integrity that you're supposed to expect in that position.
Although I will say, you guys, Andrea and Bob, you saw Nick in court. I get the feeling that Nick would pull the same nonsense of, I've magically found these holes on the back of the sweater that nobody knew about for 3 years.
You did.
And,
He essentially did do that with Brad Weber.
Well, I'd say it sounded like he did that a little bit based on what you guys said, but you know, the scumminess of both of them, the unscrupulousness of, I need to win here. And I understand for Nick, it's like, well, gosh, if I don't win, I lose my job, which, well, too bad, so sad. You don't win, you lose your job. I mean, sorry, the people in your county are crazy, but you know, that's the risk. No, I think Nick would do the same things that Hank did. I mean, these are scumbags of, one had slick back hair, one had short hair, one had a beard, one didn't. I mean, that's really the difference.
I think mainly the big part of the difference too, a reason why it's hard to have a direct comparison is because you have such a different situation in the courtroom. Nick McClelland did not run the courtroom in Delphi. There was no question about who ran that courtroom.
Oh, really?
That was
Okay.
Judge Gold's courtroom. So you would not be playing these games like Hank Brennan would play with Judge Pinocchio, where he's doing plainly improper stuff and everybody knows it, and it would be objected to. And he just would continue to do it because he knows there's not going to be any kind of enforcement. There's not going to be any kind of follow through. There's no actual real boundary in her courtroom. So he was able to run wild and treat people so badly and be so rude and have all of his little snide commentary and things like that. They're so improper in the courtroom. And that's part of what makes him look so bad. But I'm not, I don't know if Nick McClelland would do that if he had the opportunity, but it's just you would never dare to do that in Judge Gold's courtroom.
I mean, she would have done nothing to Nick.
She kind of did it for him, though.
She would have done nothing to him, Andrea. It was
maybe not in front of us, but if she thought he could put her in jeopardy or make her look bad, I think she'd put him in hand. But maybe just a sidebar or something.
I think that she treated him like her stepchild in the sense that she carried him along.
Yeah, he was a lapdog.
Yeah, and
she petted him, and he knew his role. He sucked up to her.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people start digging into this case, and you want to talk about an investigation that was an absolute travesty, I mean, the amount of evidence that they lost in the Delphi case is mind-boggling. I'm talking every videotaped interview from the most critical first days of their investigation all vanished into thin air. Like I'm talking about, like you guys see the first 48, the TV show. Well, this was what was it, Ange? The first 72 hours were all lost.
More or less everything from the first 70 days are gone.
It was like the first almost like 2.5 months almost of interviews, but I think it started. I mean, they started losing evidence pretty much as soon as they started collecting it. So who knows what else they lost? I don't think we'll ever know.
Yeah, the branches that were never collected and tested, it just, hey, this probably has nothing to do with it. Just throw it in a pile and forget about it. Now, I want to go into comparing experts in the Delphi trial and in the Karen Reed trial. Specifically, if we compare around physical evidence, I want to do a small comparison between Dr. Welcher and the expert who compared the bullets.
The ballistics
Ian, you are known as knowing a thing or two about guns and bullets. Have you seen the bullets and the comparison?
I was shocked that was allowed in any courtroom because we compared like with like and it didn't match. So then we compared unlike with unlike and we decided it matched, notwithstanding the fact that we'd already previously made decisions that this contradicts. And I'm going, this is lunacy. Like if I was a judge and somebody brought that to me, I would just be going, counsel, I am not allowing this. And I also would like you to wait until the end of day so that I can quietly refer you to the Lawyer Assist program in case you might be having a little problem with the drinky. It's
she's been
and for you out there, what do you mean unlike this supposed gun expert of sorts in the Delphi trial, she took the unspent cartridge found at the crime scene, and it didn't match the cycled when she compared it with Rick Allen's ammunition. So she chose to fire the cartridge through Rick's gun, and then compare the fired bullet or fired cartridge, spent cartridge, with the unspent one. And this is the person who says that her opinion is as accurate as what was it? As a paternity test.
Yeah.
That's
And-
what.
and I just-
That's what.
That's what
Yeah, he
Coleman-
told. That's what.
For which
Coleman.
episode of Maury?
Mhm.
Coleman. That
Yeah.
was Coleman's analogy.
Well,
He-
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
what
I
Jerry
mean,
Holman
if
told
that's
us
how
told Rick
accurate-
Allen. It's as reliable as a paternity test.
You know,
if
and
that's
I
how accurate paternity tests are, I'm going to claim to be Elon's kid just so I can maybe get to inherit, and we'll just we'll do a paternity test. And I got a pretty good shot.
yes, that was some of the, and that's the problem with the tool mark examining,
Yeah.
because all it could tell you is like, okay, a gun like this one fired it, but how many SIG 226s and 40 cal were made? A gajillion. And you know who used it as their sidearm, issued sidearm?
The
In
cop.
Indiana. Which state level constabulary force use Sig Sauer 226s and 40 cal? The ISP. So
Yep.
it's like a lot of people could have had that. It wasn't a rare thing.
Well,
Well,
they
in
also had-
Indiana,
they
you're
had
going to
Brad
find
Weber's gun.
Carhartt. You're going to find
Yeah.
force multipliers. You're going to find, stabulators. It's kind of in everyone's house. It's kind of ubiquitous.
We are,
here.
by the way, way overdue on this. So
Hmm.
I'm just keep talking. I'm spinning, and then let's see what
Well, I don't know if you guys
what,
could
what
not
damage.
Hear, I don't know.
One
if
of
you can hear
one of the
three-
particularly, I think, depressing things about Delphi is that when we do talk about experts, we instantly we talk about ballistics, right? This absolutely ridiculous nonsense ballistics testimony. Why? Because defense couldn't get a DNA expert. We would be talking about DNA if
Bye, Bob.
there was
Oh,
ever
okay, Bob.
any sort of opportunity for a meaningful challenge to DNA evidence, right? Why? Because DNA not belonging apparently to Richard Allen was found belonging to multiple different people, including male and female, found all over these girls, including like in their private parts. And would you maybe think that would be the kind of thing that you would have an expert on for
Exactly.
the defense to be able to talk about? What's the significance of this DNA evidence? What can we take away from it? Is there anything that should have been done, should have been tested? Anything that you can rule out? Any comparison that could be done? Like a lot of information that should have gone into evaluating that DNA evidence. And we're not talking about DNA in the Delphi case because the defense was denied that.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
Oh,
it very much
Denied
was.
DNA. That just is ridiculous to me.
Also, somebody in chat said the scarier part was the jury convicted. You can't blame them. They were given a extremely crappy curated set of facts. I can't blame them for the verdict they came up with.
No.
It's wrong, and we all know it's wrong, but there's a lot of lore they didn't get to. So
Judge
Yeah.
blindfolds the jury, and then the jury's like, "Well, this seems like whatever," and sure they get it wrong, but
Well, they,
it's kind of like Karen Reed.
They had
If
to
the
lean
ju-
on reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like Karen Reed. At least they got to put on, I mean, yeah, Easter was bounced, but I mean, they were denied putting on a defense at all. At all.
Yeah.
They literally had to lean into reasonable doubt. And I remember the day that they came down with the verdict, and I was sitting in that courtroom. And, I mean, I don't know whether it's just out of habit in terms of, I wasn't at all surprised when they said guilty. I wasn't like, oh, I can't believe it. Like that's how I would have reacted had it been not guilty, because of what they were up against as a defense team in terms of what she had minimized their ability to do in terms of defense attorneys and just in the face of in the direct violation of Richard Allen's right to a fair trial. I mean, she just I've never seen anything like it. Like, honestly, and there are a million fucked up cases in this country. I mean, we see them all the time. I'm sure, Andrea, you get letters constantly from guys, and I get 10 letters a day from people that are like, "Oh man, I heard your shit. I want you to look at my case," and I'm reading these story after story. Now, are a vast majority of these people guilty? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't been able to dig into the files, but it's like, this thing was a railroad job, the likes of which I had never seen, and it was shut off to the world. It's crazy. It's crazy.
What I do find really interesting is that the hand-picked defense replacements that Judge Gull picked came in fairly skeptical, and after they received the same treatment in the jail, they really started to understand what the defense was up against. And I do think that the more we have these panels, the more we get this out there. I had to step back. I have 6 children, kind of needed a new hobby, so I started streaming. So I can't always, do all the things, but I'm really impressed with the community and how we're moving forward despite the setback. But I think more people have to open their eyes. That probable cause affidavit was the weirdest thing I have ever read in my entire life. How does it go from being a purple PT Cruiser to a mini car to a smart car to an SUV to a Ford Comet Corsair?
Yeah,
I mean, it was everything, and the funny thing is that they
smart car,
how do they
PT
not
Cruiser.
how do they not get the actual footage? Like, why am I looking at still photos from the Hoosier Harvest store instead of like the actual video? Like, why am I looking at still pictures instead of like the actual video? Because they clearly had access to the video, because that's how he took screen grabs. Like, what?
Well, the FBI had the video. The FBI went and collected the video.
Yeah.
And then Mullen, who just decided to sit down at the Hoosier Harvest store with his cell phone, just took pictures of the screen so that he could have the still shots. We don't get the video because they won't give us actual discovery. They're barely giving us a tidbit of the actual exhibits used at trial. And we still can't get the exhibits from the hearing before that they put out for the only media to be able to come and access. We still can't get those.
Insane.
I guess the other thing too, and I don't know if you guys have touched on this, but I know I've watched the Richard Allen interviews with the police, and I know you guys know about all that from being at the trial, but it's also a great example of why you never talk to the police.
Oh yeah.
Like, if Richard Allen had never gone in, I don't think
Richard Allen hadn't called in to be helpful.
Well, even if he called in to be helpful, but the fact that he hadn't gone in, he wouldn't be in prison right now.
I mean, they hoodwinked him on the second interview. They told him and Kathy, "Look, you can come get your car." They'd effectuated the warrant at the house, and they had taken the car. And they
Speaking of, does anybody here happen to know where that car is?
No, Kathy doesn't have it. I know that.
So that's a big deal to me. It's always been a question I've had: was the car even at the PD when he showed up there, or was it actually in an evidence bay in a Sally Port somewhere? It wasn't even there. For them to not actually have the car there means that would absolutely have been the intention to have the custodial interrogation.
Oh yeah,
it was.
It's all about a lie.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've read that ruse in a transcript. They that's routine. They tell you, we're gonna come get your property, and then they come down, and the whole point is to interrogate you.
It's not an interrogation. We're just having a friendly old
just a friendly social chat. They like to keep their options open. That's just
wait here. We'll get the papers.
Chat. You just happen to be here. The fact that it's the police department doesn't make it custodial at all.
I can also tell you there's been a number of times when I've shown up as counsel to just be like, oh yeah, I'm here on behalf of so-and-so to pick up his property. And you just watch the police lose their mind. Like they just get furious.
Because they don't have it there.
Well, you're like, oh, I thought he could pick up his cell phone today. Like, where's his cell phone? They're like, and I'm like, oh, do you want him to turn himself in? Okay, well, he'll be,
I had that happen one time for a cell phone, and I called the deputy, and I'm like, hey, I'm coming in. He's like, no, we need him. I'm like, no, you can call him. He's giving me permission to come get it. I mean, if you want me to go get a power of attorney, I'll be happy to do that. And they said,
yeah, I mean, Richard Allen never saw the light of day again after that October 26th interview. Never walked out. Never walked out again. Yeah, Nick, I'm curious, how many people are watching now?
Let's see here. Combined 1,200. Okay,
and the reason I'm asking, I'm curious how many people know nothing about this case that are in here now, because what the hope is that we're going to be able to pull some of the fervent supporters of Karen Reed, who very much appear to be concerned about justice, over to the Richard Allen case because it needs it. It needs that kind of that movement behind it. And I was wondering if you could do a poll just to see if you know anything, like how many people know anything about the case, because I mean, we could be talking like, I mean, obviously I see my subs in here, and I'm sure you guys see your subs in here who clearly, I know Ian and I know Sean and I know Andrea have covered the case, and obviously T. Like I know all of us in here have covered the case. I'm wondering where it's at in terms of who doesn't know anything about the case at all.
Well, we should be sharing the Rick Allen Justice website link because it's got some great information for people who don't know much about the case.
We've got a ton of free Karen Reed. The cranks are just cranking out and really kind of forming some awesome friendship. I don't know. Just people are. I mean, we've got people reading the Franks memo for the first time, and they're like live tweeting their experience, just reading it, and they're like, "Wait, what? You know, I had to take a break because this is so upsetting." And yeah, so I mean, they're out there. I think people just don't know because none of this was public, and it continues to not be public. And a part of me wonders, instead of sending Jody $20 every few weeks, you know, would it be more helpful to pool everybody's, you know, it's just a thought, like, what about hiring a public access, you know, attorney or something? I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of things that could probably be done. You know, it's one thing to continue doing the same thing with Jody over and over, but she is not going to hand over exhibits that legally are ours. So
No,
she's just not going to, and no one's going to force her unless, you know, something different and more creative is tried, you know, within the parameters of the law. I always have to like be careful.
absolutely. Andrew's absolutely right. And I don't think we're going to get anything more out of Jody. I think Jody's done. I think we've gotten all the exhibits that we're going to get out of Jody, and we've shared them, like T, All Eyes, Sleuthy. Everyone's done such a great job sharing them transparently, and Luke has done such a fantastic job with the website. This all we can do now is, like Anne said, try and get people to understand what has happened, because there are so many people who do not understand that this man did not get a fair trial, and there's so much more to the story than you just read in the headlines. If you just look up his name, if you look up the Delphi murders, you just see that this man has been
and there's so much
found guilty
lore.
of a double murder.
It's got more lore than Dune. I mean, and there's so many layers and rabbit holes. But at the bottom of this is two little girls who went on a walk on a day where they had nothing to do in a small town where they were supposed to be safe, on a bridge where you can hear the freeway and people talking and everything like that. And we have a man who, if he did it, if we can find the evidence, I would be the first one to say, lock him away. But I don't co-sign a justice system that doesn't have facts and evidence. And if a geofence was good enough to get, you know, other people acquitted from the FBI, why wasn't it allowed or even recognized in this case? I hate my state for looking so backwards, but we are all trying to poison you with high fructose corn syrup, Indiana.
Yeah, this is one of the things that distinguished Judge Bev from Judge Gull. There were geofencing done. She banned the defense from bringing up geofencing.
Location data can't come in.
And and I believe if it's from there, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, it's from the geofencing we found out about the two burner phones on this scene that was also used, not exactly, but in another double kidnapping homicide 7 years earlier. The same two burner phones were roughly at that location as in this location. Can anybody say nexus? I mean,
Well, I don't have any blue
I think
paint,
that's a
but I
little
think
out
I
of
can see a
context. I wanna
connection.
yeah,
clarify
it's a little bit out of context.
Right. Yeah. So it's one of them was just a source that had come forward and stated that they know a person that was also in where the other crime occurred at the same time the crime occurred. So a source had come forward with that one, and I think that's the biggest. There's not two. There was just the one, but the other, there is a source that says there's a second person who is also tied to the third party aspect of this case. Then that was also in that area. So I wanted to put that out there. So
Yeah, because I think those came from the tips. So, you know, but in terms of her not allowing the geofencing, and again, it was that, like, Nick, the one of the parallels between Nick and Hank is that Nick also is a big Ipsy Dixit guy, like where he literally just stands in court and says shit, gives no basis in the law in terms of what he's saying. He's like, oh no, this isn't allowed, and gives no precedent behind what he's saying, doesn't give any case citation. It's like, and the geofencing thing was like an absolute perfect example of that, because that was literally what he said. He's like, oh, it's not reliable because the entire town of Delphi is encapsulated within the geofence. The entire town is in the one geofence. And you know, but he did nothing in terms of proving that at all. Like, he provided no evidence whatsoever that was actually true. Because if that's true, all right, well, you know, then it's probably a lot less relevant than it would be.
Even if it's true, what does that mean?
Right. What does
it means
it
the whole
mean?
town's a suspect.
Right. The whole town's a suspect. You know, and it's just like, and there's story after story after story in terms of what went on in this case that is just like that. I mean, when people are reading through that Frank's memo, and it is a tome, it is a very long read. It reads almost like a fantasy novel. It's crazy. The first time I read that thing,
it is riveting reading.
It is. It absolutely is.
I remember thinking, oh my God, defense, I loved you. Why are you going man, bear, pig? And then I read the Frank's memo because, again, if you have an extraordinary claim, you need extraordinary evidence. And they were able to take it. It wasn't from thin air. And the nerd in me loves me a good footnote. Be still my heart. All the footnotes. But it wasn't just conjured from thin air. It wasn't, you know, a bunch of people with tinfoil hats, you know, thinking about stuff. They actually took it from the discovery, and not just a little discovery, but discovery that was willfully being kept from them, that didn't show up, or I don't know where it is, or doggone it, did we erase that? Butterfingers.
Yeah, buried. You know, everything relating to the Odinism stuff was buried and spread out through terabytes of shit.
I still love the gall of them to say, oh, we talked to a guy. We didn't take notes on it. It was some professor dude somewhere. and then the professor, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, that was me. But that idea of, oh, I don't remember who I talked to.
But
like,
yeah,
I'm going to give you guys a hint. Indiana has
that professor within 5 minutes of that.
I mean, they knew it was Purdue. It's like, how many
they knew what they were doing
in that area?
Knew what they were doing.
Oh, dude, 100%. And like, Andy sends Nick an email. Nick McClellan, the prosecutor in the case, and Andy Baldwin was one of the defense attorneys. Like, hey, are you guys having any luck finding out who this professor is? And Nick's like, yeah, it's like, I've asked around. It doesn't sound like anybody knows, and it's likely that we'll never know. And they come to find out that when Nick sent that email, they had identified Turco. Like, they knew who it was at that point. And it was like, and I found out when they got the name that the guy lives in Chicago, you know. So I'm calling like Andy. I'm like, do you want me to like go knock on this dude's door and you know, like put you in contact with them? I'm like, I'll do some PI shit for you, you know, because it was like that whole thing was just insane, you know. And when you talk about and Ange and I have a friend in common who used to work for the Carroll County Sheriff's Department who lost his job after working for 26 years with them. And it's, you know, like, he's got stories. I mean, he's got a lot of stories about that investigation and how it went down and how he ended up losing his job and why. And it's just, and it was a crazy case because, you know, when I was covering it heavily, you know, everybody and their mother was DMing me because everybody had theories on who it could be, and that it was like, you know, like it's some part of a meth ring that was a huge meth. I mean, I was here and I wasn't in a position to really discount anything because almost everything that everyone else was saying to me made more sense than it being Richard Allen, because Richard Allen had been married for 35 years, had raised his daughter, and like, you know, she was through college and, you know, had gotten married, and he's 48 years old. He's got no criminal history. The guy served in the, you know, in the guard, and, you know, he just didn't fit the pattern. They get all of his electronics. They find nothing, like you ramp up. Like if you were of the mindset that you're going to go out and commit this kind of crime, it doesn't happen. Like you wake up one morning and decide, hey, you know, I'm going to go to my mom and dad's place and I'm going to have breakfast and visit with them a little bit. Then I want to go out to the trails and murder 2 people after 5 people see me on the trails. You know, I mean, it's like everything.
And also for no apparent reason, because I have no history or anything like this at all. Just out of the blue, I'll do it.
Nothing.
So I want to cut in real quick. I'll give an update on the fundraiser just so everybody is kind of on the same page. I know a lot of people have joined since Nick started the live. So we were raising $4,600 to get the transcripts of the trial, of Richard Allen's trial, which includes everything to do with the trial, according to Jody. And people are asking, who's Jody? Jody is the person that I'm in contact with to get the transcripts. It's not, I mean, it's not like a nefarious thing. She's just Jody. Now, Jody is a gatekeeper who is also the person that we've been in contact with to get the exhibits. So she gave us the estimate of $4,600. That is to include all of the trial, plus some missing transcripts I had requested last year from a 3-day hearing that we only got part of them. So once again, it was an estimate. She has let me know that, you know, she has till July 9th to have them done and sent to the appellate attorneys. And once it goes up on the CCR that it has been sent to the appellate attorneys, I will send her a cashier's check because she's no longer accepting anything in person, which she used to do. And then she will send over the PDF of, it's very, very old school. So like there's no, like you have to actually, like I used to send cash, and then she would like literally email or like mail me exhibits, all right, not exhibits, transcripts. Like it was all very papery. So we've come a long way since the beginning. We started this stream at 4,255 of our fundraising amount. And now we have surpassed the goal. So I want to let the chat know that we have absolutely surpassed the goal based on you guys and Nick hosting the stream and all of these great guests coming up here. We have to come up with what we want to do with the remaining padding part. Once again, it's an estimate, so it's good to have some padding in there because we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. But we have hit 5K since the stream has started. So if Nick needs to take some more shots and spin his wheel, we absolutely can come up with an exact amount so we can find out how many shots he needs to take.
Get cracked, Nick.
Can I just say something, T?
Yeah. Yes.
Also, while we're talking about donations, by the way, great job. And before you spin the wheel, don't worry.
Well, the wheel's in motion. There's no stopping.
Okay. Sorry, Bob. Some people are a bit confused by how the hot sauce.
Good.
Some people are a bit confused by how the link works.
Okay.
Maybe
So
if you could just explain.
my link tree is there. And Nick has it pinned to the top of the chat. In the link tree, there's multiple payment options. There's PayPal, there's Venmo, there's Cash App. You can choose any option that fits
I'll one
you.
up you here.
Somebody, oh, look at, he's got, Bronco's going to do some hot sauce with you.
Oh, nice.
You can donate in any one of those forms, you know, that you choose to. Like I said before, I don't know exactly what we're going to do with the remaining part. I would love to be able to put it towards something to do with furthering getting info on Rick Allen's case. If we can't do that, then I think we do donate to something along the lines of an Innocence Project or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to continue donating and thinking that it's still going towards the transcripts at this point. We can also keep a fund going if they're going to charge us for anything else going down the line. The transcripts themselves, when they come, and they come in the PDF, I typically, what I do, they're not watermarked. They're very public. They're put out on any social media platform. They'll be sent to anybody on here
You're
that
not going
wants
to write
them.
murder sheet across them or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna. I won't do that. I typically have a rule. If I pay for it out of pocket, it gets a watermark. If you guys pay for it, I'm not putting my watermark on it. Now, there's people who don't want to donate based on the fact that it is going to be public because they're like, we don't want everybody to have it. So I want that to be very clear because it will be public for anybody, whether they think Richard Allen is innocent, whether they think Richard Allen is guilty. The goal is to have transparency in the case one way or the other. So it will be free to anybody who wants it from that point on. And then we do a read through on my channel of all the transcripts, and everybody kind of gets their own role. So it's more like listening to something that's actually happening versus me just sitting there and reading the entire thing. So it becomes very interactive. Bob's been on, Andrea's done it, Ella's done it. So it just makes it, more interactive for you guys so that you guys can like listen to it like it's actually transpiring versus just me monologuing it, because that's just not fun. So everybody here is invited to come. You guys are welcome to join the panel if you have a specific role that you guys want to take on. Bob typically is Rosie. He likes to be Rosie.
I like to
Oh, really?
So,
I bet he does.
but
I have
it fits,
homemade,
though.
but
He
how
doesn't
much
really
do
by
I
that,
need to
Walla.
be Nick?
so that's kind of how I do it, but it'll go out into like a Google Drive. I'll send it to, if you guys want it sent directly to you, you're welcome to ask for it. It'll be put on, like I said, on all social media platforms. It's not secret. It's not gatekeeped. It's free to anybody. The goal is to not be paying $4,600 multiple times to
Over and
Carroll
over.
County.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that would be good. They don't deserve that.
Right. So if we
Yeah.
can just get one chunk of it
Now,
and put it out.
I volunteer myself as reading the part of a certain whole man. And
That's quite the chin there.
Wow.
The glory hole, man.
Long live the
now,
Bolshevik.
That's why they like
for
him at the
legal
glory hole.
reasons, I cannot say I am Jerry Holman. I am his third cousin removed by inbred. I'm Arthur Holman, a Holman.
Yeah, I'd like to motion the court that Nick has to do a bigger spoonful of that hot sauce. I don't know what that little ice cream tryout. Like, can I taste the black walnut? You need a real
Not a
spoon,
Puma.
dude. Like, I
That would lame.
want a big spoon. Like, if it's the wheel of remorse, let's get some remorse going, dude. Like, for real.
Wheel of Remorse is a better name than Wheel of Regrets, by the way. I like that.
Oh, is it the
this is-
wheel of regrets?
It's the Wheel of Regrets. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to do like hot,
I
I used to do hot sauce shots for at super chats, and the people are like, "It's not fun because you never flinch." And I'm like, "Well, that's
Yeah, no. I don't think
Yeah.
it's even real chili. Like
Yeah.
what Runkle does, that's real chili.
Yeah, at least I feel hot sauce. Now for
I've
you
got a-
who I'm not
I don't feel-
sponsored by these, but this is flymog.com. Flymog.com. It's a Swedish company. This one has strawberries, pineapple, prosecco, honey, scorpion red,
Honey.
Armageddon, and habanero.
so it
I'm
took
not
what,
touching anything
6
like that.
ingredients to get down to a pepper."
Yeah, and
All right,
Yeah.
Runkle,
Yeah.
How close to the top?
Lame.
Runkle's like Scotch
this one
bonnet,
here.
Hellfire, and Demon.
First ingredient: ghost pepper mash.
Ghost pepper.
Oh.
Yeah. I also have this one. This is a so-called 8 out of 10. This is Carolina Reaper, Butter Orange Copenhagen, 7-pot Lucy, horseradish, basil, black garlic, and pineapple for some reason.
Pineapple.
Yeah.
But it's quite decent. And
Just keep
then
it away from pizzas.
Yeah, and
Then I have
I
this
saw
one.
something that y'all put bananas and pineapple on a pizza. Do you want to explain yourself to the
Who does
Hague?
that?
That's outrageous.
Sweden.
Bananas. I mean,
And
pineapple.
curry powder.
I mean,
pineapple.
we call it
And
a
they put
Hawaiian
fish on
Hawaiian
everything.
pizza.
I would totally
It's
do
with-
curry powder on pizza. I'll
Curry powder I can
entertain
get
that.
behind, but
we have a
That's
Hawaiian
delicious.
pizza with banana, pineapple, and curry powder, because
Why
everything
why
that
banana?
Hawaiian here in the States is like either Canadian bacon or ham
Ham.
and pineapple.
Mhm.
Not that
Okay,
crazy.
how do we
Pineapple
extradite a
is
writ to the
Hawaiian.
Hague? I feel like that's a crime against humanity, and Geneva needs to be contacted.
Well,
the
they also do
bananas
surströmming
caramelize?
pizza, which
No,
you
no,
can only use the building once wherever you
I'm
go.
not
I
gonna
mean,
lie, I'm intrigued about that pizza.
I mean,
Like the curry
we're talking
powder,
about
the
Sweden
banana-
here. We eat fermented rotten fish.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
You put the Koreans to shame with the way you eat your rotten fish.
yeah, exactly.
See, this is why I'm pleased I know Nick only like online. Like I don't have
What?
to actually.
Here's the thing, though: surströmming is
Exchange
not that bad if
air.
you don't eat it like a moron.
Yeah, if
That's the thing.
if you go
It's actually pretty
online
edible.
and see, let's try Swedish surströmming, and you see them going right out of the can. No, you imbecile. First of all, you take the can and you open it in a bucket of water. That takes care of the squirts of that takes care of the squirts. And meanwhile, you
Not
rinse.
those squirts.
Yeah, not those
That
squirts.
has really devolved.
It's
into
that the
something
can is
very,
actually
very-
under pressure, so when you
Yeah.
puncture the liquid from the can, will spray
yeah.
out.
Have y'all
if
heard of
you-
botulism?
The
I feel
herring
like
keeps being
we need to send
fermented
like
in the
pamphlets
can,
or
so
something.
it's- But what
it's
you
not
do
full
with
of
the-
botulism.
What you do with the surströmming is that you rinse it, you fillet it. You don't actually eat the bones, as in the moron on YouTube's. Then you have hard bread, butter, boiled potatoes sliced. You have the surströmming. You have sour cream and chives.
So
And
you
we eat it
hide the
with a lot
taste
of
of the
alcohol.
rotten fish with every other thing imaginable that you have to open the can underwater. Y'all, just Tupperware. I'm just
I feel
throwing
like
it
we
out
reached
there.
the fundraiser
It
goal,
actually
and
tastes
just
pretty
gone
good,
downhill.
believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean,
I ordered a can, and it's stupid expensive to get it sent to Canada. But I ordered a can. I tried it in my backyard. It's like, all right, it's fine. You don't open it inside. That's the thing.
No. My grandparents had every August in Sweden is fermented herring. The premiere, we actually have a premiere for it, and then they moved from the house to an apartment, and we have to open it up on the balcony. Yeah, but if 20 other people lives in that apartment complex, they will not be happy, especially not when my grandmother took the 2 cans, put it in the trash, and then down the trash in the apartment. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like shit. Sounds awful. I
Yeah.
would be remiss if we didn't congratulate our friend Runkle of the Bailey for passing
Yeah.
300,000 subs today.
I don't even have the mental
Congrats,
energy to
brother.
like do a proper celebration. for
Very
that,
nice.
because
Congrats,
it's like,
Uncle.
that'll
So
happen
I have to
soon.
say that's incredible. I remember watching Runkle when he was going on other LawTubers channels. Didn't even have a channel of his own, and was just
Well,
going.
I had a
and-
channel.
Well, it was like a. Did you have a channel that you were actually talking on? You were just
Yes.
doing
You
guns.
had a
like,
semi-profitable hobby,
I knew you did a lot of
damn you.
guns.
I mean, I didn't actually go on a panel until I was at like 40,000 or something subscribers, and then I went from that to
When
like,
you were covering Johnny Depp, you had a
75.
channel with 40K. That 40K.
no, I was around 80 when I started Depp.
Mhm.
And then by the time Depp was done, I was at like, 150 or something.
That's where I found you. I found you on other LawTubers covering Johnny Depp.
The first, I had a channel with like 40,000 subscribers when I joined in on some of the Rittenhouse discussion. And then
That makes sense. You'd cover Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
well, it was just that was what everyone was talking about, and also it seemed like a pretty clear case to me. So it was like, okay, let's talk about this, because everyone's big mad about a case that is actually pretty straightforward. So yeah,
Pink slime.
Hey, vice, baby.
Vice,
Hey,
baby.
thank you. That is extraordinary generous.
Thanks, Connor.
I should get a sound bar of sorts, but my technical abilities extends to on. And then I
At
called my
least you hit
nephew.
the go live button. Bob sometimes has an issue with the go live button.
I mean, I've been, Tech and me are not friends. We have a real battle. I'm an old man. I don't understand it. It's very
All right,
complicated.
I am a few of these behind, so let's do 2 in a row and see where we go.
I mean,
yeah, I'm good
May
with
your
that.
liver be ever in your favor.
like, where is the regret in the
feel
whiskey
rigged.
shot, man? Like, dude, we got to up the game on the. I can come up with
no,
some way worse shit for you to do than stuff you have.
Have
on
you
your
had an
reel, bro.
abort? Another hate crime?
That regrets is tomorrow morning when the booze and the hot sauce wants to come out of me.
Well, have they seeded the hot sauce? It's the seeds that are your enemy in any pepper.
It's actually the membrane around the seeds.
Yeah, it's the white pith kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me, it's the seeds. That if I don't clean out a pepper and seeds make it in,
Wait,
you can't
clean out
digest the
your-
seed. Yeah,
No, the seeds go in, the pith goes in, the entire pepper goes in. I mean, the only part that doesn't go in is the stem. That's
That's what
yes,
she
I
said.
get rid of the seeds.
Oh, now we're talking.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. How do you mix all this? How are you mixing
Tequila, that's got to
whiskey
be
and
at least $500,000 up in Sweden.
Yeah, $500,000. Oh, he's got a nice reposado though.
Because I know you're not growing agave up there.
No agave.
I bought this last year when I traveled through United States from south to north, and it's almost empty. But in September, I'm going back to the States. I'm going to Utah.
Why?
Because Jeff, the
It's a fair
legalizes. Yeah,
Are you going to go to Logan?
I thought you were going to go visit Jody Hildebrand.
I'm going to go to Logan.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm going to meet up with my baby. I'm going to meet up with Danny on, and probably going to have some sort of meetup. Now, this is about a month after Danny had her kid, so yeah.
so she's gonna be like, nah, I'm too tired. You're gonna
Probably,
be like, I
yeah.
flew all the way to Utah.
Tequila.
I'm doing my hair.
Oh.
Wow. You got some shitty tequila there, buddy. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
if
that.
it's making you do that, that's a
And
problem.
in this day and age, like we are way past the Cuervo days, man. Like there are some fabulous sipping tequilas out there, and that what you just drank is not it, really.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I can't help myself. I like yugs.
Who doesn't?
Well, I'm 2 beers and 3 shots in. Yeah, you're on your. Oh, for frick's sake, Idiot Wind. Idiot Wind is also a premier member of the channel. Thank you. Just to knowledge, the fundraiser is pinned on the top of the chat. So some of the cash you're sending in to my channel. Now, first, YouTube takes 30%, and then I have to pay taxes. That is extremely fun to do. So,
in Sweden, that's what, like 80%?
Do they let you have like a couple pennies?
Yeah, I can.
They
I
let you
get to
smell
keep
the money before they take it away.
Yeah, I get to
Cool.
keep after taxes and YouTube. I get to keep around 40%.
Wow.
So they count all of this. Now, for you who don't know, hi, I'm Nick. I'm streaming from my farm, and technically, this channel belongs to the LLC that is the farm. So welcome to farmland. So yeah, so everything gets put in, but I still have to pay taxes in advance, and then after write-off, I might get some money back if the Swedish tax guys allows it.
It's so bad
Can
that I
I
sent
just-
them a flaming bag of poop, and the Swedish government kept the fire.
Can I just answer a question in chat? A couple people keep asking the same thing. So what
Mm.
option is it in the link tree?
You have option
Teresa.
5, which is Venmo. It's number 5 from the top on the link tree.
Mhm.
You have cash. No, wait. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is Cash App. Number 7 is Venmo. Number 8 is PayPal.
Yeah, and
On
you
the-
put the word transcript in. Is that right, Teresa? Does that help?
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. Just put transcripts in there.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
So
you're
for
basically
those of
just
you-
donating to you and putting it through your
Like an
your
old school
pay
adventure
pathways, and then putting transcript in that way.
I
Yeah.
just put all of it. It all gets taken out of all of these things and put into one account. So it's just sitting
Yeah.
there in one account anyway. So
Sure.
no matter how you're paying, I'm putting it in one account. It just sits there until I can send her. But the chat is saying that the poll is actually pinned now, and that the link tree is no longer pinned.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm
Wow.
ending the poll. Of course, have you heard about the Delphi trial? 69% says a lot, 25% says a little, and 5% said never heard of it.
Well, so one of the things that I wanted to ask the lawyers, have you ever seen a pre-trial detention like we had with Richard Allen? Because I do think that's one of the most crazy, most egregious parts of this case that we could kind of get into. For people that don't know, this case is not like any other case. This case started out crazy.
And just
Yeah.
never stopped. It never stopped being crazy. Like, part of the problem, there's such a catch-22 with the Richard Allen case because it's just wild. There's so much to it. Nobody knows about it because nothing's accessible, and that was done by design, guys. That was by design. That was on purpose. It was very hard to follow pretrial hearings and things like that because it was difficult to find the documents. We finally had awesome folks like Ange, All Eyes, Delphi Docs, all kinds of Sleuthy, of course, Sleuthy Goosey,
Yeah.
just lots of great
Sleuthy.
compilers out there putting information and starting to be able to organize that stuff so that it could be accessible. But we still never had access inside the courtroom for the hearings when they were happening. So we were very just dependent on the little bits and pieces of information that we were able to get coming out of the courtroom. Made it very hard for me to I like followed this case for such a long time before I ever said anything about it because you didn't have information about it. So I was watching Bob. Bob's going to court and kind of giving us the scoop about what's going on and what the significance
What
was
was the
and all of that.
Jury's reaction to the videos of Richard Allen having an obvious mental, break. Were they
Really not bad enough.
well?
Yeah.
It was hard
It's
to
hard
tell.
when you're
'cause-
sitting there. It's a small town. I mean, you guys don't understand. The police station is about, I am the slowest cripple walker ever. Nick and I were able to walk it together in about 2 minutes. You can go see the CVS. 10 minutes away is the trail. So this
That's
is
a
not
10-minute
a big
walk. It's a
town. And to have to
3-minute
sit
drive.
and watch the families and not have the monster that everyone wants. I mean, and having crap facts, a crap judge, I can see where they came up with this. You want to give justice. At the end of the day, they saw some horrific pictures of little girls. And as much as we want them to be logical and follow the law and everything else,
Yeah.
there is
And,
that
We
component.
make a point that I thought was good, and it's one I hadn't really thought of before, but the more I've reflected on it, the more truth I think there is in it. And it's this irony that kind of the more serious the charge is, the lower the burden of proof ends up being for the prosecution. People have the natural tendency of, like, if you're accused of doing something extremely egregious, I'm going to be that much more cautious about letting you back out on the street. There's this whole fear safety component that's tied up into it that ends up making it easier for people to just go ahead and believe and convince themselves that that's the safer option.
There's also, I think, the idea that, well, this is super serial, so the police, by golly, did some heckin' good work. And, they don't just randomly, it's one thing to get accused of, like, randomly shoplifting or randomly, you jaywalked or wearing a seatbelt. But you're accused of, basically almost butchering 2 girls. They don't mess that up.
Yeah.
They don't mess that up.
Yeah.
They never would.
And the sad thing is that those are actually the things where they cut the most corners sometimes, where they're just like, we got them. Like, we got our first
Yes.
guy. And, there's a bunch of Canadian wrongful convictions where you just see that, like, the evidence that leads against it, like, just keeps piling up. Things like, well, we found a cigarette at the scene, and the scene is the middle of nowhere. So there's, like, no basis for a cigarette to be there. We DNA tested it, and it didn't match the dude. So we decided that the cigarette was garbage, and we never actually told the defense because we deemed it irrelevant because, it's clearly just garbage. And it's like, wait, no, that's clearly you have the wrong dude, right? Because
or as in the Sakara Anderson case, they had butts of cigarettes outside a crime scene, and they decided, no, it rained that night. So it probably doesn't have any DNA. So let's not test it at all.
Oh, guys, in Delphi, they recovered a number of clothing items from the creek, and one of the items that was recovered was the single item, this green handkerchief that is kind of a mystery because it's not associated with either of the girls. None of them were in possession of it, as far as we know. None of them were wearing it. It's the number one thing that seems like the most likely that it probably originated with the perpetrator, perhaps a gag or something like that. And let me just let you guys guess, what do you think was the one item from that creek that they chose not to test at all, not to look for any DNA, not to do nothing, and just decide that we probably wouldn't be able to get anything from it anyway, and even if we did, we probably wouldn't know what it means. Which item do you think it was?
Obviously the green scarf, but like, what about the belt?
This feels like the Karen Reed trial.
They find the belt.
Was Michael Proctor in any way texting someone about a balloon knot about this? I'm just asking for a friend.
Wouldn't be surprised if it was the creek.
Well, I mean, but the belt that they found under the bridge, which Andrea didn't even make it into the trial, and it was a belt that was the same size as Abby. And, this belt just never saw the light of day, and it was found right under the bridge, because theoretically, and I think, I talked to multiple cops. I mean, one way that they control people oftentimes is by holding them in the back of their pants, but holding the belt. And so, like, the buckle was broken off that thing, which to me, in a lot of ways indicates, well, gee, you might want to test that. See if you can find some DNA, find out, number one, if it's Abby's, because theoretically her DNA would certainly be on her own belt from putting it on, and find out if there's anybody else's DNA on it. But for whatever reason, the belt never made its way into evidence. So
Thanks, Coach.
There's a comment there from Free Ricky Bay. Please summarize Rick's pre-trial detainment for the newbies. Ange is really good at summarizing this if you're up to it, Ange. Very passionate about this subject. Would you be able to?
Sure. So the question asked earlier about have the lawyers ever seen anything like this before? I think the answer was unanimously hell no. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's what I understood. And I know in Indiana, it's just never happened. There's no legal precedent for this specific thing that occurred. But basically, Rick was arrested on the 26th of October. He was booked into the Carroll County Jail the same day. He was not processed. I mean, he was booked under an alias on accident. We don't really have the full story on that. But Kathy had kind of tentatively, but no, she paid and hired. She retained an attorney to represent him. The attorney couldn't find him. There was just a whole lot of shuffling and nonsense. And basically, Rick went before Judge Diener on the 28th, which is when they officially charged him with the crimes. That was the day that his name was kind of publicized to the world. And he did not have an attorney at his pretrial hearing for reasons that I don't think any of us even really understand or know. And immediately upon leaving
an attorney.
I'm sorry?
Even though they had retained an attorney.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah.
And notified the prosecutor.
Yes.
The prosecutor certainly knew because the attorney contacted the prosecutor and said, "Where's Rick Allen? I need to meet with him." And actually, Nick McClellan helped arrange for that kind of very brief period of time where that attorney was Rick's attorney, you know, Nick McClellan arranged for them to meet at the Carroll County Jail very briefly. So, I mean, he was well aware that he had an attorney. It's never mentioned in the pretrial hearing. I have a lot of questions about it. Regardless, he left the not pretrial hearing, the arraignment. He left on the 28th, the same day that he's charged. They put him in the White County Jail for safety. And then within 2 or 3 days, they skipped a safekeeping hearing. There's a statute in Indiana that says if someone's in imminent danger of serious bodily harm or death, then they can be transferred to the DOC for safekeeping. But defendants have the right to refuse a safekeeping transfer. None of that occurred. Rick was not advised of his rights. There was no hearing. They skipped all of it altogether. Judge Diener wrote the order for the sheriff. I mean, it's a lot, but basically they broke the law. They violated Rick's due process at every turn and used basically this statute that's meant to protect, you know, vulnerable or high profile or otherwise endangered defendants. It's supposed to protect them from harm, and instead they weaponized it and they used it as a mechanism to basically kidnap Rick Allen and ship him off to the Department of Correction. He had no attorney for 2 weeks while he was there. And he, to this day, I mean, they requested a safekeeping hearing April 3rd, and Judge Gold waited over 60 days, you know, to grant them even an emergency hearing. I mean, it's like, it's a mess, but it's never happened in Indiana. One of the things that Judge Gold gave Brad Rosie a ton of shit for was that he didn't cite any Indiana case law, you know, during that safekeeping hearing in June. And he's like, there is none, you know, so, just like every other thing in this case, it's like very unprecedented and very, just the more you delve into it, the more disturbing it is. It shouldn't have happened. There should have been an immediate rectification. I mean, Judge Bull, in fairness to her, was not even a part of that initial kind of shuffling of Rick Allen. But once she became aware of it and the critical issue was raised, I think that she should have.
Well, absolutely, because at that hearing in June, they had Cass County on the hook. I mean, they were willing to take him. He's like, I don't want to take him, but we can house him, you know. So where he ended up actually going right before trial and where he stayed throughout the duration of the trial, you know. And it was that thing where, you know, the warden, when they put him on in that hearing, who subsequently was terminated and moved to like a small woman's prison somewhere where he's got 30 inmates.
He's not even there anymore, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like Gallipo was full of shit. Everyone was full of shit. And, you know, Nick McClellan's calling Brad Rosie a liar in open court, you know, and at that point, they didn't have the videos of what Rick was going through. And even after she saw the videos, she still didn't fucking move him. You know, it's like, and just so people out there, if you don't have an understanding, prison, the Department of Corrections is for convicted felons. It's not for pretrial detainees. Pretrial detainees are typically kept in the county jail, whatever county you get arrested in. If you can't get bonded out, or if they don't afford you, or they don't give you a bond and you're no bond, then you stay in there pending your trial. Richard Allen was tossed in this prison, which is arguably the worst of the worst prisons in Indiana. And they had him in the most secure pod, in the most secure cell in that pod. And then they had convicted felons that were sitting out there as companions, suicide companions, you know, making sure that he didn't kill himself.
Yeah. And Bob, yeah, I think we need to emphasize, because he couldn't go into general population, he had to go into SEG.
Yeah, and SEG.
He had to stay in the hole because there's where else do you put somebody?
Yes. Right. And this is where you get into the part that's like, it's mind blowing because it's not unprecedented. They had federal case authority already establishing there is a cruel and unusual limit for how long you can hold somebody in solitary, because it is so well known and understood that solitary confinement will make human beings go crazy. It will make you lose your mind. And that's, you know, what we saw play out with Richard Allen in extremely tragic form. You see it play out through the notes. You see it on the the videos and the phone calls, and it's just horrifying to watch this this deterioration of this man. But they already had a freaking federal court decision saying 30 days is the limit to hold somebody in involuntary.
1983 lawsuits.
That's somebody that's already been convicted of a crime. This is somebody that is no longer presumed innocent. Like, they did it. Yes. You get to assume they're super dangerous. They might do this, that. They have 30 days is the limit. He was held in solitary confinement for how long?
13 months.
Well, and the Indiana Department of Correction also has another layer of there's another issue with that, and that IPAS, right, the Indiana Protection Advocacy Service, basically like the ACLU for prisoners, sued the Indiana Department of Correction, and in a class action lawsuit, convicted inmates sued the Department of Corrections because seriously mentally ill inmates were being mistreated and held in solitary confinement in IDOC for longer than the 30-day period. And so they sued and they won. And there was very, very stringent, strict policies that were implemented as a result of that lawsuit. And I mean, this is just kind of one of the other things with the Delphi case, that it's either the worst set of circumstances and worst luck in the world and a coincidence, or it's not. But I mean, the day that they started involuntarily medicating Rick Allen was the day that settlement agreement kind of expired, right? So then they're just totally off the hook, apparently, for that. And that's another thing that Nick McClellan openly misrepresented in court. I mean, it's like, once you start really delving into all of the different things that went wrong for Rick, it's.
I mean, we haven't even talked about Walla.
In the discount Timu Clarice was that woman.
It's never ending.
Did she get her degree from DeVry in Guam?
That are no longer employed by Westville or are allowed to work at Westville since this case has come out public.
It's unbelievable.
The minimal public that it has.
Yeah. Now, if I can get back to when it comes to Indiana and how do they treat pre-trial detainees, I checked. There are, in Indiana history, there's about 30 serial killers. And
Weaver Hawk.
Tell us Dillinger. They tell us Dillinger stories.
And, well, if you go back to the 1800s, I mean, it's not much. Then take away the people who ended themselves. And but none was... The people who got to trial was held in jail. Actual serial killers, but not Rick Allen.
Yeah. No, as a pretrial detainee, this kind of thing is unheard of because you have the presumption of innocence. And so any type of restriction on your liberty for pretrial detention, it's got to be very narrowly tailored to circumstances that, warrant them, because you've got the kind of history that indicates you would be unsafe, flight risk, these types of things. It's supposed to be very narrowly tailored. It is not supposed to be punishment. And this is a key distinction. Michael Osbrick brings this up all the time, that once pretrial detention is you're receiving the kind of penalties that are much more like equivalent to conviction, to a sentence. The punishment that you get for that type of thing, you're in a different framework, constitutionally speaking. So I've had clients that I have represented pre-trial that have been in prison. It's not completely unheard of, but it's because they'd already been convicted of a crime. They're already in prison. They're just continuing to be held in prison. And guess what? Because I'm their lawyer and they have a pending case, I get to go in and visit with them. And I even get like special dispensation to bring in my computer so that we can look at discovery materials and actually like conduct a defense and things like that.
And you can see them whenever you want.
They're not unheard of. My client was in the IMU too, by the way. He was in the like most restricted area of the prison. It's the area where Gary Ridgway used to be held when he was at Washington State Penitentiary.
And you aren't restricted to the normal visiting hours. There's so many rules. Yeah, like I can go to the jail right now and see somebody, and it's 7:00 on a Friday. You know what? Yeah. They'll let me in.
Yeah, I could walk down to the local jail right here and just flash my barcode, walk in, see whoever I want. Like it's not. It's not.
That's the other
part of it. They want it to be.
He couldn't even call them.
Westville was
Yeah.
2 hours away from the closest lawyer. Like, I mean, it's, and we're talking about on the probably the biggest double homicide case in the history of that state. And these guys had no access to their client. And when they did go in, they were filming him. You know, they were turning Rick towards the mirrored window, the double-sided window.
Yep.
And, you know, they were filming him with the camcorder, which we found out after the fact at that June 19th hearing. I was so furious with this. At the June 19th hearing, Gallipo got up on the stand and said that there was that camcorder did not have sound. We come to find out, of course, it was Gull, you know, like lost her shit when Brad said, "Oh yeah, this has sound." Very same camcorder, very same footage that they were taking. Turns out that it did have sound. In terms of trying to,
in the world don't have sound anyway.
I've never heard of it.
It's not even believable.
That was the first thing I came home and I'm like, have you ever heard of a camcorder that doesn't have fucking sound?
They tried to do they could like change it like for depending on what they were using. So it's like you have sound when you're transporting him with the camera, but when his attorneys are meeting with him privately, you like what?
There's no, yeah,
it's not an intrusion to just watch them, you know, to just look at what they're doing and what documents are they sharing with each other and what kinds of expressions are they making, and does anybody seem upset right now? Like you don't get to know any of that.
No. Relax, you guys. It was Betamax. We haven't even gone to VHS yet.
It's like, okay. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. And it's like, huh? Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's so crazy.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, what is it? New hot sauce. You keep drinking the same shit, dude.
Yeah, you
gotta switch it up.
This is a ruse.
Do you not have a rack of hot
between
sauces?
I switched between I switched between three.
Oh, same brand, different varieties. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna switch
1.4, 1.5, 1.8.
All right, Andrea, Sleuthy's going nuts in chat. She wants you to tell the story of what made you decide to go to Delphi. I was so happy to hear you were coming. I thought I was going to be the only dude there. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to write.
I just have to say, I felt so bad for Andrea the first few days when she literally was staying up all night doing a live. And then going back to stand in line the next day. I was so thankful to the people who came and line sat for her.
I know how that is.
She would have not been able to survive that.
The angels from heaven made it possible. I showed up. I had no idea what to expect. I had been following this case as best as I could through Bob. But like I said, it's just very difficult to kind of find information and follow it and get up to speed. So I knew I had known since day one, the very first time this case caught my attention, it was when he was arrested, because I remember seeing a piece about it just mentioned that the probable cause affidavit was sealed. I was very interested in this case, like I'd heard about it and so good they finally solved it. Now they've arrested somebody, so we'll get to see the probable cause affidavit and know what some of the basis is. And it turns out that was sealed. And I thought, what a strange thing. Like, this is very presumptively a public document. Never seen anything like that before.
Ever.
And then it just kind of, went out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. I really didn't think about it again until then the Franks memo hit. And I'm sure it was probably through Bob too, but it might have been some other channel. Saw the Franks memo and had a chance to read that. And like we said before, that is riveting reading. You don't often read a legal reading like this.
I've never seen anything like that.
Like Mo had pointed out, this is all sourced to the FBI. This is not like the defense is conjuring things up out of thin air. This was literally the FBI's investigation that they were doing into their theory of who the perpetrators were. And that's what all of it was based on. So that really caught my attention with the Franks memo and seeing this whole factual issue. And I knew at that point the only way that we were going to be able to get information out of the court was going to be to go because we weren't going to get the live stream. The court was continuing to be extremely hostile to being able to find out any kind of information at all. So yeah, that's what kind of made the decision for me, is just knowing we're going to be dependent on mainstream media to tell us what's happening in court. That's not going to be good enough. We've tried that before. You know, you
And
might,
the local
if you tried
media
it with
was
Michael Jackson,
egregious.
you'd have been real disappointed with, you know, with the outcome you got. Just a lot of trial. You know, if you watched it with
Well, it's like the equivalent of what's going on with Diddy
Rittenhouse,
right
you wouldn't
now.
have any idea, you know,
And,
what verdict we're going to get.
Well,
It's
the
like
fact
Diddy
that they
right now.
misquoted
I
that
have
his
no idea
daughter
what's going
loved
on with Diddy.
him. I mean,
Oh, Mo, that was so bad. That was so bad that the pool reporter, the pool notes went out that the daughter testified she didn't love her dad anymore,
Yeah.
and it could not be further from the truth.
We went ballistic when that
Yeah.
happened. That was
The guy-
very
the
quickly
guy was
deleted because she had
so-
about 700 angry cranks on her ass. I mean, a couple of people reported
Yeah.
it, but we were all like, "Who did this? Like,
It
name
was
that."
Bob
Like, we were,
Siegel.
And
Yeah.
I've got to step out because I'm going
Oh,
live
why?
in
Do you
half
have
an
something
hour.
going
But
on, Ian?
Hi, Ian.
I
Have
should probably
Alessi
use the
sign your
time
belt
to,
binder.
you know,
We're all
Yeah.
going to be
Some
sprinting
supplies
after
and-
you, Ian. So
Yeah.
I
Go ahead,
well,
Ian.
super
What
nervous.
are you? Ian? What are you doing in roughly half an hour?
I have the first interview with assuming I haven't been the victim of the most elaborate catfish ever. I have the first interview with Mr. Yannetti and Mr. Alessi, and I am super looking forward to it because
Be
A,
awesome.
I'm a massive fanboy, and B, I have all the questions, and I'm guessing you have all the questions. So
Yeah,
Uh,
and you
Can't
beat
wait.
all
Can't
the
wait.
networks. You beat all the networks.
You did.
we're all excited,
I-
Ian, and so well deserved.
Totally.
well,
man.
thank
We're
you,
super
and
pumped.
I hope to see you guys there. I hope I
We'll
do
be
you
there.
guys justice because I know you guys have questions, and I know all of you would do a good job as well. So, yeah, I will. I'll see you guys there. But
Give him
Yeah.
hell. Give him hell.
You're
I
Ian.
gonna
love-
kill it. You're
Luck
gonna
Russell
see it.
Crushed, man.
Yeah.
cheers.
have
Yeah.
fun.
And I will redirect to Ian in roughly half an hour.
It's gonna be epic.
He's back. Hi, Ian. Oh, there he's gone.
How did I end up over here? I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, put me back somewhere else.
Oh, look, there's
Oh.
tea.
All right, I am. I need. Bum bum bum. I'm so many of these behind. I'm sorry, folks.
You're so. We need to do one of these like every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It has
Oh,
to
for
be.
fuck's sake!
Oh my god.
It's your only one to do.
You remember Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, where they keep flipping the coin and it keeps coming up heads and it keeps coming up heads, and it's like you're.
Yeah, this is like waiting for Godot.
I mean, what do you have on there? Whiskey and hot sauce? What is the other option? What
Oh.
else is there? What other torturous shit is there?
Well, dun dun
It's all
dun.
lame.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, there. So
Donut.
these,
I mean,
yeah, that's for me because apparently you have to eat something once in a while. Now, if you look at me, you would think you're not starving, Nick. No, I really am not. I mean, my idea of a romantic dinner is a buffet. I mean, and Miss Viking agrees, so I'm good with that. So it's booze, sugar beer, or a donut, and then eventually I will remove the hot sauces from it because my mouth is fucking burning.
yeah. I mean, do you have donuts handy? Is that like some shit?
Yeah,
you
it's
have?
in the kitchen. Yeah, I bought
It
them
used
today.
to be fun when you used to get the hiccups. That was good.
He got the hiccups early before you hopped on. He
Oh,
he had
really?
early hiccups.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
now
Usually lasts
He
much longer
acclimated.
than
He
that.
acclimated to the heat, though. So
Ugh.
now it's-
Can I ask
now
a
it's
question
moving.
about the interview that Ian's about to be doing? Because somebody in chat was talking about that Laura Alessi was actually pushing for Ian to be the one who did it. I missed that. Is that
Oh.
like
I don't know.
Read is that
Yeah.
Laura had watched Ian's coverage and that she told Bob, her dad, hey, you should go on Ian's channel. So that's
Yeah, she was on Anti-Deb earlier and told that
Yeah.
story.
right.
that's amazing?
Isn't that
Yeah.
great?
That
That's
is-
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you, Alessi, for making math make sense. Because I don't know what I mean, I was like a dog doing
Stop the
algebra. If I
traditional
never
media.
hear infotainment again in my entire
God.
effing life,
Or
I
key
mean,
cycle. Key
I
cycle.
just I
well,
love
we didn't even
I
hear
love-
about key cycles this time. I
You
mean,
did. You
I
still heard about
love the
1162 over and
mental
over again.
candy.
Trigger events.
yeah,
I
the
love the
recurring
mental
trigger
candy we
event.
got from Mr. Alessi. He had that way of using words, using vocabulary to
Mhm.
get to know his experts and to like introduce myself. Like, hey, I not only know how to say this and pronounce it, I can spell it and you can't, you know. But
that's why
he would
you
come up
need
and he'd
an
be
expert with
spitting
medical
stuff
knowledge.
like speciate and pathognomonic. You know, you remember pathognomonic? Wasn't that a great? I loved that. It was like so Alessi.
Yeah, well,
So, how can we get Alessi to go and help Brian Koberger?
Oh man.
Please. We need Brian needs
I
help.
have not even stepped into that case. That case is a whole lot of what?
Yeah.
Well, he needs an
Dude,
Alessi
just
right
dip a toe in. Just dip a toe in and see if it's even something you want to get wrapped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a
He needs an Alessi.
whole new. I mean, when it comes to, for instance, let's go back. For the first trial, one of the first trials I covered, the Sakara Anderson trial.
Hmm.
Absolutely
Nobody
innocent.
there was no
100%, Bob.
Yeah, it was really no movement anywhere except us small content creators who went, when he was convicted, went, say what now? And then moving on to the rest of the trials that has been going on since then. And Koberger has this, that he is when it comes to public opinion, he's the polar opposite of Karen Reed. Even though some of the evidence are equally shady.
He has Manson lamps, y'all. I mean, if his defense attorney wants to help him, maybe try not to look like you're creeping under a rock in a Kubrick film, okay? How about you dead eye stare, everyone? How about that? Just throwing it out there as a helpful tip for optics.
Are you talking about for Zachariah?
Oh, Brian, which one?
Oh, Brian. Oh, Brian. Yeah.
No,
yeah, I
he
mean
has
that's
autism, so-
Brian if Brian
be a thing.
Koberger had looked like that Luigi
Well-
guy who shot the
Luigi,
CEO
yeah.
of the healthcare, I mean, that would have been a completely different case.
Yeah. I think the advantage about if you want to follow the Koberger case, you're actually really not far behind because nobody knows anything. It's another one that's just been under this veil of secrecy because of the gag order. We got this little nominal drip from the PC affidavit that's like, that looks like a pretty weak case. Especially when you go and compare it to something like, I don't know, Long Island serial killer is a good comparison, I think, because it's another circumstantial case they had to piece together with little bits, but you can see how it overlaps. They have his communications, they have his location, they have his DNA, they have his web searches, they have all of these things that correspond to all the different crimes he's accused of. Koberger, very, very slim.
Yeah.
So we're just all
And
kind
I
of in the dark
realized
until we
that-
get to trial. We don't even really know what they have.
I realize a defendant's in a catch-22. If they cry, it's fake tears. If they show any emotion like Johnny Depp, they don't take it seriously. Or if Karen was smiling for something, she was a cold-hearted witch who yelled, "Bella's mom!" and, floored it. So I get the catch-22, but what I can say as an outside observer is if you were going to take a stereotypical, weird kind of creepy guy, he does fit that. And you have to acknowledge and be aware of that. Whether it's right or wrong, people are going to see that.
Well, that's why the defense is
filed that
fighting to be able
motion.
to introduce evidence that he's on the spectrum. He's got autism. They want to be able to explain, look, if you think he's behaving weirdly or anything like that, you just need to understand there's a little bit of backstory here. Court's not letting them do that.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
and
put
remember,
into
people
this.
said that about Rick too. They're like, "Oh, he's staring,
Yeah.
he's staring," and it's if he's psychotic. Like
Yeah.
there are
Exactly.
reasons for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly what Angela said.
and with Rick,
then
I mean,
one juror we've heard from said that, two jurors maybe. We don't know about the second one, whether the second one was actually a real juror. But they said that, right? That, he rolled his eyes back and he fidgeted a lot and all this kind of thing about Rick, right?
yeah.
So-
And I need to say something about Rick. When it comes to Haldol, is a very, very old drug. It was developed in the 50s. Haldol was Soviet Union's favorite mind-altering drug. If you wanted to have somebody say something, admit to something, you sent them to one of the gulags, you force-fed them Haldol, you got them to sign a confession, there was a trial, and then that was it. Now, Haldol has that mysterious, when the effect wears off, you get back, sometimes you never recover, but sometimes you get back to your prior state, as with Rick Allen. I didn't do it. Here's 61 confessions, Haldol off. No, I didn't. That's Haldol. That's, and it's so infuriating because one of the reasons why they use Haldol in prisons is because it's cheap. It's like $5
they're cheap.
per
pennies.
Yeah.
It's not even. Oh no, not even $5. It's like a dime. It's like a dime. Did you know, Nick, that there was I want to say it was maybe 10 years or so ago. There was a little bit of a controversy that if you caught it in the news at the right time, you saw it. Otherwise, it vanished off the horizon.
You mean the lawsuit?
Yes, it was a lawsuit where the Department of Homeland Security was when they would be deporting people from the country. Sometimes people don't actually want to go on the plane. They would shoot them up with Haldol, Nick, because it's such a powerful.
That happened. That happened over here as well about 10, 15 years ago. I don't want to go. Really? Zit.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no process, nothing, potentially serious consequences. People have very serious side effects that you can get from Haldol. You don't always, fully recover from stuff like that. But it's cheap. It's like a nickel to be able to, put in a dose. And so that's what you see too at, oh gosh, my husband started his career in involuntary treatment defense, right? People who are, they're not accused of a crime necessarily, but they're believed to be a danger to themselves or others. And so they're going to be involuntarily committed for some kind of psychiatric treatment. Haldol is the front line in all of that. It's not the best. It's not the one that people are most responsive to, but it's cheap. And so that will be like the go-to a whole bunch of the times in the crisis situation.
Yeah, in Connecticut,
And
there
they know
is
it
a
enough that they can titrate
continuous
it.
Haldol medication medical malpractice suit. Continuous for the last 6 years. For the past 6 years in Connecticut, there's a class action lawsuit against the use of Haldol. I mean, there's a ton of cases, but they still use it because it's cheap. Oh, it works. Well, yeah, you get a person who says what you want them to say. And this is a challenge for everybody out there who believes Richard Allen is not guilty and all of the 61 confessions are correct. Hello, I'm Nick. I once was in the army. In the army, we learned interrogation techniques, not to use them, but how to recognize them to withstand them. Now, if you believe what happened to Rick in prison, it's nothing. Sign a waiver and allow me to use interrogation techniques and Haldol on you. Just sign the waiver and prove me wrong, that I cannot make you say something you didn't do.
Like as simple as I did it.
Yeah,
I did it.
I think I did.
I mean,
that's what he was saying. I did
They
it.
say I did it, so I must have done it.
The example I have is I have this. Well, I don't have it here. Yeah, here it is. I can make with Haldol and interrogation. I can make anyone say this pen is blue.
And
pen's not blue?
Has there been any significant movement to
I vote,
reform or
make
change the
Sean
read
sign the waiver.
technique
I wanna
since
watch
we
it.
know how coercive and pressure-filled it is?
Great question, Mo. There have been a few. It's mostly, of course, this type of thing tends to happen at the state level. There's no like overarching federal jurisdiction over stuff like this. So it tends to happen at the state level. There have been some bills that have been introduced in different places to. It's almost always been focused on juveniles to prevent police from being able to lie to juveniles during interrogation. It passed, I want to say, in did it pass in Illinois, Bob? I can't remember now off the top of my head. It has passed somewhere. It's been introduced in Washington. Amanda Knox actually testified in our state Senate in support of that particular bill. So I mean, you'll see some incremental movement, and it's going to always be focused on, like, let's make it illegal first for juveniles. Maybe we'll make it illegal next for mentally disabled people. But they never want to take being able to lie to you or me fully off the table. So I'd be skeptical if we really see that. But it could. It would just have to happen legislatively.
Yeah. And
Wasn't it kind of ironic that the two cases we've been talking about here, both of them have an "I did it," "I think I did it," "What if I did it"?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One gets
Yeah,
found
what if I
guilty,
did it?
one gets found not guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it really is the same issue in both cases. Like, okay, you said it. Who cares? What does the evidence say?
I would
I
love
don't
to see
care at
some
all if
evidence.
the evidence doesn't prove to me that you did it.
Can you imagine if all it took for the state to convict somebody was for somebody to say I did it with no evidence? Like, what if somebody just wants to go to prison? You know what I'm saying? Like, there should be at least.
I mean, the reality for Rick Allen is this could have been as simple after, and it's not just like, because people are like, oh no, he was able to contact Kathy, via his tablet. They didn't allow her, in terms of what his mental state was prior to, from childhood moving forward, in terms of his depression, in terms of that other, what was the other thing that he had, that he was super dependent?
Dependent personality disorder.
Right. So he had these things long predating the homicides. These are going back to childhood. So he goes in there a fragile eggshell. And what they do is they cut his and Kathy was his absolute everything. She was his. He would come home, like Kathy would tell me stories. He constantly needed to be, at all times, he had to be reassured about that he was good enough. He's like, I don't think I'm good at my job. I think I suck. I'm not a good, and Kathy was the one who propped him up forever. So when they cut him off from her for months and months and months, that went on. It's like, I don't care if he's texting or calling on the tablet, not having that contact and being able to see her and have her be even across a glass from him was everything. And it just destroyed him mentally. And when you do that, and then you have him go literally psychotic, it's as simple as saying, hey, do you want this to end? Just say you did it. Like, it doesn't have to be, the torture was what they were doing to him. It wasn't like they were sitting in a room grilling him. It was as simple as that. Do you want this all to end? You want to get out of this hellhole? Just say you did.
You want to see your wife? Kathy's not allowed to visit until after you confess.
And there are no recordings of what the guards said to him.
Right. I mean, it's
who, by the way, if you remember, one of the guys who were told, no, you can't wear Odinist patches on your uniform. And then he stopped and he touched in Odin's spear. That was one of Rick Allen's guards.
I mean,
what did he say to Rick Allen?
And the only thing that he allegedly said that contained any kind of details was the thing that Walla
wrote. Walla wrote it.
Like, wrote it.
Where is it?
Yeah.
And so we have no idea if it ever took place. And if we start telling you all about the whole Walla situation, you're going to have serious concerns immediately about her and her professionalism and her ethics and all of that, because what went on with her was insane. And
Can
then
I add something, Bob, when you're done about Walla?
Yeah, but like my thing that I always stuck with me with respect to what Walla wrote down was that portion where she claims that Rick Allen said that he was lying in wait. And if you're lying in wait, then how do 5 different people see you? I mean, because like the entire thing of lying in wait is you're off the beaten path, you're out of eye shot, and you're just waiting there, and you're waiting for your victim or victims to happen along, and then boom, you attack. So I like everything about the case. I am absolutely convinced, having sat through every day of that trial, that man is factually actually innocent. He did not commit the crimes, and he was like the railroad job. But even for those who are on the fence, the thing that they have to understand is that he was railroaded either way. that we can't have that happening in this country, that's not the way this shit's supposed to go down. Everything that happened. And I really just hope that this case gets the light shown on it that it needs to, because nobody knows about this case. It's crazy to me. You know, it's like Andrea's got a pretty big channel, and Andrea is pounding her fist on the desk, and she's yelling that this is fucking bullshit. I'm doing the same thing. And it's like, just no one knows about this case. And I really want people to become really accustomed to this, the facts of what happened here, because it should scare the hell out of everybody. That if this becomes the norm in this country, I don't want to live here.
Everybody is the norm.
Yeah. Well, and it brings us full circle why we're here, right? The reason why nobody talks about this case is because it's so hard to know anything about this case. And that's what we need the transcripts for. Like, I've gotten so many kind words from people, and I had so much help, you know, to do what we did in Delphi, and to be able to get into the courtroom and to, you know, try to report out as thoroughly as I could. Like, I knew details would matter, and try to capture some of those and stuff like that. But I'm just, you know, I'm just me. I'm sure that, like, I got a word wrong. You know, I'm sure that there are things that can be improved on, or like I, you know, caught this but missed something else. Like, I'm just.
Wouldn't it be nice to be able to go back and rewind and watch that live and just go like, oh, you amazing that one thing, and look, we'll just rewind it and watch it. Sorry, can't do that here.
That was really not my role, and it shouldn't be my role. I mean, this is why we have transcripts and in court proceedings and things like that, is so that we do in fact have a record of this stuff, and it just should not be such a nightmare and such an obstacle to be able to get it. It really tells you everything you need to know about how badly they don't want eyes on this case.
Yeah, but in the Karen Reed case, wasn't it a portion that wasn't in the transcript, so the defense went back and watched the recording to correct the transcript?
Yes.
In Delphi, we only have the transcript of a court we kind of know doesn't want us to know.
Yeah, I mean, Andrea has the ability to write very, very quickly. So, like, you know, it was
between Andrea, Lawyer Lee, Bob.
Yeah,
I mean, we probably have a good understanding of it.
But I wanted to watch the trial. You know what I mean? And it's like we were robbed of that because we were having to sit down and look at our pad the entire time, and you're torn away from being able to watch witnesses on the stand and what they're doing on the stand and how they're acting. And you know, it was just it was like, for us that were in the courtroom and trying to get the information out to the public, it's like we were robbed of the ability to actually watch the trial. I mean, I don't know about you, Andrea, but like, I have to look down when I'm writing. I don't have the ability to be able to write.
It's be all over the place. It's all sideways.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Though, even though we get the transcripts, what are we going to be missing? We're missing the tone and tenor of all of everything that happens.
The thing we need to judge a credibility.
I have one question. I have one question for you who actually were there. The 43-second video you were shown in court. Was that the version we got?
We just say that right now. This is going to be clipped everywhere.
Andrea
all
and
I can tell you is what I remember.
Hang
all
on,
I can tell
just
you
a
is
minute.
what I remember. And all I can tell you is that from what I remember, what has been released, and apparently is sourced directly back to the extraction, the original extraction from Abby's phone, or from Libby's phone. That video was shown in court. To the best of my recollection, they told us this was the edited one, and that what was presented to us when we were like supposedly seeing the raw video was just completely different. And it was so remarkable that we had conversations about this. We were talking about this because the very first video, it was so shaky. You couldn't see anything. We all knew this video was coming. We knew it's got Bridge Guy on it. We're staring. We're like fixated on the screen looking for Bridge Guy. And yet none of us is able to see him. And then once they did the stabilizing and everything, he comes into view very briefly, and that's what you see in the one that's been released. So it's just, guys, this is, again, I got to keep repeating, this is why we need the exhibits, because everybody needs to be able to see what we saw and what it was represented to us to be, because when I look at this is not adding up with what they told me this was at trial.
And they're also not releasing the video, by the way.
I want to see all three versions because we saw what they said was the original, and then they called it an enhanced, and then they called it an enhanced and stabilized. So we saw three different versions.
Imagine going through 5 years and you just get one janky thing and then two completely different sketches. And all the, police chief or lead investigator says is, we watched the shack and we know what's going on.
Yeah. Now, for you who are completely new to this, watch this and tell me if you hear any fear in the girls.
See, this is the path.
Who is she talking to right there? The camera? I never understood that.
There's no path to go in there, so we have to.
So my problem with the video and the way it was presented, that Libby took a picture of this man intentionally. Look, I'm pulling the mom card. I have, from 19 to 9. I can tell you that my girls at that age were not situationally aware. If they were talking to each other, looking through their phone, they're not going to notice another person. They're very self-absorbed. They're not generally looking at, their surroundings and, ooh, that guy's a little creepy. Their sphere of influence really isn't there because they're invincible. They've never had to deal with monsters like that usually. So it's not on their radar. So it always seemed a little odd to me that it wasn't an incidental capture, but it was an actual intentional one. And then watching that video, it doesn't seem intentional at all.
And for me, who is that third female voice? Because I've been listening and listening and listening, and for me, it's not Abby, it's not Libby. I could swear there's a third female voice on that, but we will never know. But and that's the thing with this, because all we heard about this damn 43-second video, because you could all hear clearly guys down the hill. According to the prosecution before trial, they had to enhance it to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. You can hear everything perfectly clear on this. Why would you even need to enhance it?
Right.
Yeah,
But
that's not enhanced.
Nick was saying it said girls down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where does girls down the hill come from?
Yeah.
Nick, could you bring up All Eyes chat there? She's got or each of the video exhibits. There we go. Right. First 30-second clip of raw vid.
Yeah, exhibit 200, first 30-second clip of raw vid. Exhibit 207, 43-second vid with audio enhanced.
It's interesting when you go through the exhibits that have been released to the public so far. If you take out everything that's sealed, like crime scene, and take all that out of it, you're left with these bulk things of what are not being released. And it's interesting to see them in the categories, because anything to do with the Bridge Guy video is not released. Another thing that isn't released is anything to do with Dan Doolin or the tip narrative. None of that is being released. Even though they are exhibits and they're not sealed, there's certain categories that they are particularly holding back, because it's like not even one little bit of it's coming out.
Well, but this is a good transition too. I do want to mention, because we've been talking about, like, we're at the end of the road with Jody and, all that type of thing. It is important to remember there is possibly another avenue here once all this stuff does end up in the Court of Appeals, because that's ultimately what she's doing, right? Jody has to get it all compiled and submitted up there. So I don't know, necessarily how great an option that's going to end up being, if it will be an improvement on Jody or not. but at least it's something that is maybe a little bit of a backstop that that will help us get our hands on some of this evidence.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah.
I mean, because Jody is actually Gull's clerk, right? Like
Yeah.
she has nothing to do with Carroll County. Like that.
Yeah.
That's where this thing, like why Allen County has any kind of say so over anything at this point. I mean, she was a special judge. She was assigned this case out of a different county. Like, I mean, all of it should be in the hands of Carroll County at this point. And like, I just like in their clerk, like, I don't understand why Jody and Gull are the ones who are dictating what's going on with this evidence. It's strange to me. Like the whole thing's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Now, Ian is starting in a few minutes. We have been doing this for 2.5 hours. So I'm going to produce a bunch of videos going forward. And once we get a hold of the transcripts, Mr. Arthur Holman will make an appearance, hopefully at Criminality, reading the part of his third cousin through inbred marriage, Jerry Holman, who I've been listening to these interviews, and I'm convinced that Jerry Holman, and I can say this because I'm in another country, so good luck suing me. I believe Jerry Holman is an actual imbecile, medical imbecile.
I live in the state.
We classify them as morons now.
Yeah, I mean, we can call people morons and imbeciles and the R word and everything. I genuinely believe Jerry Holman is an actual imbecile.
And he just gets promoted.
I mean, Nick, I'm not going to fight you on it.
They fill out his
and I will do my
application
best to
with a
portray
crayon.
that as Arthur Holman. Now, before I send everybody over, let's do the rounds. Mo? What
Hi
are you
guys, I'm
doing?
Mo. I do a morning show every weekday, 8 a.m. Headlines, true crime, and the absurd. Nothing political, no Mesopotamia. I'm not here for it. But if you want to know what the penis fish are doing in San Francisco, I'm your gal. I also do the Petty Express. I speedrun trials and make fun of people, but it's kind of my job. And do some non-legal third-party intervener explainerating the law as your, favorite pro se crazy person.
Andrea, what's going on on your channel?
Well,
going
Nick, we have wrapped up with the Karen Reed trial over on YouTube. So I'm going to be quiet for a while. If you've been on my channel before, we get into a little pattern here because we cover some pretty intense stuff pretty intensely during trial time, and we're gearing up for Kohberger next. Brian Kohberger's trial is scheduled to start jury selection on July 30th. There's a possibility it might be continued, but Judge Hippler has already telegraphed, like, don't count on it. It's probably not going to happen. We're going to be going forward this fall. So I am planning to be in Boise for at least some of that, and probably doing quite a bit of live stream coverage as well. So that'll be the next thing up on YouTube. I do also I have a channel over on Substack, and that's where I do a little bit more like written and long form, different types of commentary. I mentioned earlier in the show, I've been neglecting the Substack because Karen Reed has consumed all the energy in the room, but I did get something that I'm working on right now, so hopefully shouldn't take too long. But somebody kindly sent me transcripts from some of Hank Brennan's cross-examinations in the Whitey Bulger trial. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that because guys, it's wild. He's the same guy he's always been. So it's fun to see. So those are the places where to find me and kind of what I'll be up to in the coming days.
All right, Bob, what's going on over at Defense Diaries?
So kind of the same thing with Andrea. We're definitely going to be digging into Kohberger. I fell so far behind because I went directly from Richard Allen almost straight into Karen Reed. And, I fell behind on pleadings in that case. that's a case. Obviously, I think I'm going to probably like beg Andrea to stay with her if she finds some kind of Airbnb. I want to go out for like a week or two of that trial for certain, just because I think it's going to be one of those trials that is attorneys that will just want to sit in there and just kind of watch it unfold for certain. But, I'm always working on wrongful conviction stuff. I'm going to kind of pick up. I had teased people with a guy named Barton McNeil, who I firmly believe is wrongfully convicted and has been incarcerated for 20 plus years. It's an Illinois case, and his appeal was actually argued. His most recent appeal was argued the same day that Jamie Snow was. And I drove down, and they did it at Illinois State University, which was kind of cool because they let the students come in and hear, how those appellate arguments go, which is always fascinating. So I'm going to pick up the ball with that. And then I've got to finish my Garcia season on my traditional podcast. So that's out of my life. And so that people quit ragging me about finishing that podcast. So it's 67 episodes in. So and I write them. So, but in terms of our coverage on YouTube, we'll figure out stuff to pass time. That's for certain until Koberger gets here.
Yeah, if I can make a suggestion, and because I know Hella has something to say, please look into the Sakara Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've been telling him.
Yeah,
and just only so many hours in a day.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
I haven't been able to look into it yet. It's like 2 years now, isn't it? And it's been on my radar this whole time.
Like I have so many cases I want to look at, but I run out of time. Like there's just
Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, so Hella is going to do a rewatch of the Sakara Anderson trial, and she will talk about it. But first, and now when we bribed you, now when we got you back, will you do anything, or are you going back into hiding for a while?
Courtney, Yellow Jacket, and I are actually probably going to go live tomorrow with some Delphi stuff. Very exciting stuff, I hope, if we can get our schedules coordinated. I really wasn't planning on coming back anytime soon. I kind of felt like their things had kind of been passed. The baton had been, passed for better or for worse. And but then Karen Reed got acquitted, and I had a lot of thoughts about things. And it was really exciting and re-energizing, but also, there's just been a lot of kind of kicked up stuff. So we're going to talk about some stuff, and I don't know, but I have a channel, so I've been, and Bob
might as well do something with it.
Well, I have been covering Delphi since before Rick was arrested. I sued the sheriff's department. Love to talk about that sometime. Mike Thomas is a really good friend of mine. His suit and mine are very similar. And Bob, you're absolutely right about him. With one correction, he retired. He was demoted, though, as soon as he ran for sheriff. The primary ended. He didn't get elected. He was immediately demoted back to the road from major. And he sued them. And he did, I consider it a success. They settled with him pretty quickly. I don't think they wanted civil discovery to happen because it was also occurring at the same time as Rick's arrest, right when that happened. And he settled and he retired with full benefits and retirement, and he's great and happy and sends obviously everybody a lot of love and support. And it's a crazy place, and there's a lot of videos on just about the sheriff's department if you're interested in that stuff. I don't blame you if you're not. It's
a deep rabbit hole, very deep rabbit hole.
It's crazy. But thank you, Nick, for asking, and thanks everyone for including me tonight. I love listening to y'all.
Thank you. Sean,
yes.
What's going on?
Well, everybody's looking at their watch, getting ready to go over to the other channel. No,
make it snappy.
There's going to be some wrapping up some Karen Reed stuff. Probably in a week or so, we probably start Maxwell Anderson. He's a guy out in Milwaukee. He basically picked up a chick on Tinder and then chopped her up and threw her into Lake Michigan.
Allegedly,
Chandler
Holderson?
No,
it's already happened. It already happened.
Social business.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I don't think he didn't use the crock pot. The trial's over. We're gonna watch it. I didn't have a chance to see it already. Trial's over. I've been told it was really good. Some people recommended it to me, so we're going to take a look at that. Also, just coming up, just getting back to regular things out there. There's a massive copyright. One of a bigger YouTuber out there is going after a bunch of people for copyright infringement, and it's actually kind of interesting how he did it. But other than that, just going back to the normal stuff for now. So
now I'm going to finish with Teresa, who will get us the total. But Hella, what's going on?
Well, yes. So if you think that Nick McClelland or Hank Brennan are the root of all evil when it comes to prosecutors, wait until you see Michael Gravely. Michael Gravely will make your skin crawl. And he is I will be streaming the day one of Sakara Anderson's wrongful conviction, and it is a wrongful conviction, Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And you will have to endure his opening statement. I'm very sorry in advance. This man, he's just a cockroach. He's the worst. Right, Nick?
Yep.
Yeah.
I concur.
Absolutely the most egregious prosecutorial misconduct you will ever witness, unfortunately, right before your eyes. Sakara Anderson is an innocent man. He is in prison for the rest of his days for the intentional homicide of a man that he never met and the hiding of a corpse that was never found. How that's possible, you tell me.
Yeah. I made a promise with Solomon Anderson that I will try to, because I'm taller but the same weight as the victim. The victim was 6 foot, 270 pounds.
Yes.
Which the prosecutor alleges Sakara Anderson rolled up in a 5 foot by 7 foot rug and never left a trace carrying him or dragging him out of the apartment from the crime scene. No droplets, no drag marks. There's one speck of
With a bad
transfer DNA in the back of the truck from a 270-pound man in a rolled-up rug they claim was completely blooded out in the back of a van, driving from one point to another without being caught on any traffic cams. And apparently this 7 feet by 5 foot rolled up rug in the back of a family van, he managed to fit in a 3 foot by 4 foot area in the back of the van. Yeah.
There are so many impossibilities in this case. And unfortunately, Zach has been in prison now for 2 and a bit years. He's been in a solitary cell. He's without his children. His children are growing up without him. He's been in jail prior to that for 3 years. This happened in 2020. This hurts my heart to talk about. Okay, I'm very passionate about this. A lot of us are very passionate about it. We don't want people to forget about it. Now, there's a few weeks between Karen Reed and the Coburger case. If you have a little bit of time, I'm going to be running it on Premiere on my channel. And there's people to chat with in there. There'll be people who know about it, people who don't know about it. So yeah, from 1 p.m. Eastern on Monday, just tune in if you feel like it and learn about it. So he still needs support. Still needs support. There's a GoFundMe there as well if you're interested.
Yeah, sadly, there's a lot of wrongful convictions. And according to the Innocence Project, 1 in 20 convictions in the United States are wrongful convictions. And I believe that is for the factually innocent. Then you have to add on the people where there actually wasn't enough evidence. So when you hear a prosecutor say, I have 99% conviction rate, that prosecutor is knowingly prosecuting innocent people, in my opinion. That I have to add. Now, Teresa,
Yes, Nick.
Get us the tally. Get us the total.
Okay, so I do not have a total. I stopped a little while ago so I could engage.
Boo, boo.
I was trying. Don't boo. Boo yourself, Bob. So we got over 5,200 from the last time I calculated it. So, and there has still been donations coming in. The goal was 4,600. We started the live with 4,255. This live, we've made over $1,000 for sure, without a doubt, because I know where I stopped adding was at 1,000. So this live in itself is over $1,000. We'll have to make a decision. I try to do everything I can with transparency. So if you have questions, you can email me, you can message me, on what we end up deciding to do with anything that's left over. Somehow, some way, I want it to go towards either Rick's future in the case, or somebody else who we, or an innocence project, so we can help somebody else who we believe is wrongfully convicted. Something along those lines. I just don't know the right thing to do with it at this point. If you guys want to continue to donate, like I said, it goes through Venmo, it goes through Cash App, it goes through PayPal. It all gets taken out of there and put into a separate account that I don't use at all. It's just happened to be an old savings account that I had that I was like, this is perfect. I'll just stick all this in here. So it just sits there. I don't know what else we'll need to pay for when it comes to Rick. I think we have almost every transcript of every hearing that we were able to get up until the trial plus the 3-day hearing. There might be one other one that we need to request. We were kind of talking about it last night. But other than that, I mean, we're doing everything we can to get the rest of the exhibits. We've come up with a new compiled list of what we're missing. We've sent in that request, another $50 for 2 thumb drives. So, still working on that too. It just is, it's a lot. So, but for the channel, I'm actually going on vacation for 2 weeks. Every year, my daughter is in gymnastics and she has national competitions. So every summer we leave and we travel and go to her gymnastics competition. So I will be doing that. By the time I plan on doing a Karen Reed, just kind of, where we're at now with all the interviews, because there's so many interviews popping off. Probably this weekend, then I'll be gone. When I get back, I'm hoping that we'll have the ability to pay for the Delphi transcripts. And then the plan is to start just doing an entire timeline of read through. It was 17 days of trial. So we'll go faster, obviously, than they do. But still, that's going to be a huge undertaking. So that's it. But I will share that the other great news for a case that I follow is Suzanne Morphew. If you guys aren't familiar with Suzanne Morphew's case, her husband was arrested. She went missing on Mother's Day, and Salida, Colorado, and she went missing on Mother's Day. We actually believe it was the day before, but that's neither here nor there. And he was arrested, and they ended up dropping all the charges. The prosecutor was punished for just all kinds of issues, Linda Stanley, and today he was rearrested after being indicted by the grand jury for first-degree murder of his wife, Suzanne Morphew. It is a huge case that I have followed from the time she literally went missing and it was reported. So I am so excited that there is actually, her remains were found last year and nothing had moved after they found her remains. It was just stagnant. And so huge news today in the Suzanne Morphew case where Barry Morphew was arrested. And so that'll be something that I'll be digging into.
I look forward to your coverage.
Yeah, Barry Morphew is not Karen Reed.
No. Barry Morphew is the right guy and needs to be prosecuted. So I'm very excited for that news today.
I just wanted to tell you thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for putting in all the time. I know you and Sleuthy just keep fighting the fight. We need you so much in this, and I am so appreciative that you do what you do. And thank you, Nick, for hosting this to get T over the hump.
Yes.
It's important. You guys are doing
if you're
stuff.
a fundraiser for a case or a cause, this is the channel. I will ruin my body, my mouth, and my liver, but I will get you there.
I thank you, Nick, for doing this.
Those are marriage vows to live by.
And while everybody is scouring off to Ian Ronco's, the amount of the donations is way up there, and you were very generous to me as well. You're actually finishing off the Wheel of Regrets. So when everybody is scouring off, I'm going to finish off the Wheel of Regrets. If I'd known, I would have put more slots in the Wheel of Regrets. But yeah.
You said that your peeps were going to handle it, and they did. And a huge thank you before I hop off. A huge thank you to every single one of you guys in chat that has donated. Some of you on panel have also donated, so thank you guys for that too. It was incredible. I really did not even think that 10 days was all it was going to be, and we would be where we were. I didn't expect it. So now we'll just have my whole fundraising live will just have to be just for fun, and just see where we go from there. So thank you, Nick, again for doing this. It's incredible. I appreciate it.
No worries. So yeah, everybody, fuck off to Ian's interview, and I will finish off the Wheel of Regrets, and I will, and then we will see if I am able to check out Ian's video or doing it on the
See you at Ian's house. Bye.
See you, Ian.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you
Bye.
over there. And you assholes.
It's just us.
Hey.
Lucky you.
Yay. Oh. There it is. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, so you're here watching the misery?
Yeah, why not?
It's my post-Lenten miracle.
Vodka shot! Oh, God. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Let's hit the next one. Jesus Christ.
Is Sambuca alcohol? Y'all know I don't drink.
Oh, I get to get the donut.
Shot a donut. My
do we have
inner
to
fluffy
watch you
kid
eat
is
it?
laughing.
Hey, woman. How's it going, mate?
Oh, good. This winter's kicked my butt, though. So I am hoping that the summer
It's
is
summer
better.
there now. Yeah.
Well, yeah. This has just been the first winter that's been really, really like in my face. So having to kind of, this is not going to happen.
It's winter for me. It's kicking my butt, but not in the same way it kicks your butt.
Ooh, sprinkles,
Oh my-
good choice.
That's a Homer donut. Nice.
See, Dingus would already be in my face seeing if that was food. That's actually how I've lost weight. Dingus just steals all my food because he's a 40-pound cat.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We only have alcohol.
Yeah, we know we're low. Ilya, you're the only one who just does stuff when you haven't pressed the end stream button.
I have no idea what shape I'm going to be in. But hey.
Wim, your wife sounds like a hilarious woman.
How many are left?
How many jingles do you see?
Who?
Who is the current president?
Orange.
Fair enough.
Michelle.
No, I'm good. The effect of this won't be until after a while.
Michelle guaranteed yes.
Oh, Mr. Jingles. Everybody, meet Mr. Jingles. Yeah. He's been here all along. Hey. Hello, Mr. Jingles. Now, Mr. Jingles, he looks like a tiny, teeny. Mr. Jingles here is Now I've had him on a bit of a diet, so he's only 12 pounds. He's a large kitty. He looks small because I'm not a small man.
No, you're not.
All right. Here we go. Hey, look at that. That was a seriously bad idea because I had 3 beers, a lot of shots, and now a donut, and now I have to chug a beer. Hold on.
Where's Seraph?
Oh, good night.
That's weird that Seraph hasn't come to the door. I must have
Let's
left
see.
the electric light
I'm
on
not
for
even
him.
sure I can do this.
I don't know how anyone can drink bread water. And I love carbs in all forms, but bread water confuses me.
Oh dear. Ugh.
Dios mío.
I'm waiting for the vomit.
Oh, Mr. Jingles is going to murder you in your sleep.
Again, this is why I'm pleased I know you online. Not in person. It's this and the fish.
The drink of my people, gin.
Oh, Jesus
My gin.
Christ.
Where's my...
Yeah, Dali, I say that to you a lot, yeah.
The best marriage is between continents, I've found.
We're not married.
I know, I'm joking. I'm just saying the best way to have a marriage is to be on separate continents.
It's a sore point.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm going to feel this in the morning.
So you should.
Yeah. Oh.
What exactly is Sambuca?
Sambuca, usually you set it on fire before you drink it.
Oh, do that. Like a flaming road.
No, not in my state. the state
Yeah,
I
let's
am
not have
in.
you playing with fire. That's like giving my youngest, most feral a bow and arrow and wondering why he shot a bald eagle.
Oh. Cheers. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Mr. Jingles, hello.
Right now, I'm going to say that I'm really proud of Dali for giving up drinking.
Yeah. Good on
Yeah.
you, Dali. Good on you.
Dali.
Yeah, awesome. I feel so bad. I sent everyone to his first sobriety and I didn't read because I'm dyslexic. So I was like, I guess Dali's drinking again. I thought he was being sober, but okay. And then he had to pop in the chat like, hey, Mo, read. And I was like, okay, I was kind of confused as to what Hallmark card to send you. So thanks for explaining it.
It's been 6 months.
That is so awesome, Dali. And I mean that my face sounds sarcastic, but I actually mean things seriously. It just comes out like Daria.
Well, let's see how 5 shots of alcohol will do to me when I have it within 10 minutes. That's a new one. No, it actually isn't. One of the Sakara Anderson fundraisers. First hour, nothing. And then Brandon showed up. So in 45 minutes, I had 17 shots.
Dear.
And then Dave showed up and closed down my stream.
Dave did, or was it Dali? Because Dali closed down one of the Zach
No,
streams.
Dali can't close down my streams. Dave can.
Dave can.
I have been purposely not typing anything because I still don't know if I have God powers on your channel and I screw it up all the time.
Yeah, I don't. I've been wishing all stream I had God powers.
Oh, no, don't give
All
me
right,
God
folks.
powers.
That's it.
That's
That
it.
was the end
He's
of
out.
the Wheel of Regrets. Oh. Thank you, everybody. Who remained. Thank you for showing up. Watch my other stuff because YouTube has me in the timeout corner. Watch everything I've ever done.
Timeout corner?
Yeah. I have videos with less than 100 views all of a sudden.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I know, but up until a month and a half ago, I was between 2 and 20,000 per video. And then all of a sudden YouTube decided, no, you're too successful. Let's bring you down to single-digit streams and stuff. And so I've been putting
They're
out
socializing your views. They're
Yeah.
giving it to everyone.
Yeah.
This will not stand.
So, but I hopefully with this stream here, I can break that curse. And but what's going on my channel? Final thing. Well, I'm checking out the Georgia. They are charging the father of a school shooter. And it's the Colt Gray. He shot up the Appalachia High School. 4 people dead, 9 injured. And they are now charging the father for 29 counts, including second degree.
Are the facts patterns similar to Crumbly, where it was implied maybe knowledge that he was struggling mentally?
Oh yeah. Colt struggled mentally, but the prosecution is relying on the mother, her story. The problem is the mother locked the kids out. The parents were separated. The mother in November, she locked the kids out and didn't let them back in until 11 p.m. in Appalachia Mountains in winter in November. She threatened to kill Colin, the father, and Colt. She currently has a warrant for her arrest. Unknown reasons. She was arrested for abusing her mother, but she is the one they are relying on, blaming the father.
Is this the one that got a text right before he did it, and she called the school or something to that effect?
No, she called the school. Colin, the father, since nobody knew exactly, okay, what's going on. So he drove home from work while the mother was calling, hey, there might be something wrong here. And when he came home, he discovered that a gun was missing. Yeah. So it is an infuriating case because it seems to be a case where the mother fucked up the family completely for years, while the father, who subsequently got custody, tried to fix everything, and now they are charging the dad because this is what's similar with the Crumbly case. He wanted a hobby with his son. The common was hunting, so he bought his son a hunting rifle, which he then used in the school shooting.
Yeah, and that's the thing. For more rural people, this is not something that is out of the normal. I mean, my middle daughter, her dad and her like to go hunting. It's not something I enjoy, but it's something they enjoy. It's not my cup of tea, but this is not something that is uncommon in more rural areas. I mean, and it's not uncommon for families to teach force multiplier safety. I mean, we're in a rural area. We have woods behind us. I have to drill into the boys every time they go in the forest. If you find a force multiplier, it is real. It is not a toy. You do not touch it. These are dangerous. They are not toys. They are not to play around with. You don't point them at anyone. If you find one, you come tell an adult because we are in a rural area.
Now, the arrest the cop doing the arrest warrants. Oh, this is going to, if you're American, the gun that the Colt used was a Sig Sauer M400 semi-automatic. But the cop who did the arrest warrant for all the charges said it was an AR-15 style weapon, and since AR means automatic rifle, it means that Colt used an automatic rifle. She testified to this under oath.
This is the problem. People do not understand this. And I'm going to be real honest that I was a force multiplier dummy before I started watching cases. I had to educate myself on what semi-auto meant. It didn't mean like burst. It didn't mean that. It means one trigger pull, one, freedom seed goes down. That's standard operating material, a standard sort of mechanism in force multipliers. And the instrumentality would be different. We have the Carmelo Anthony case. He brought a knife. The instrumentality doesn't bother me. I don't understand why we vilify one and not the other. I mean...
and this case was the first school shooting after the Crumbley case. It's almost as if they waited for the next one to bring the same charges. Because but folks, it is 7:05. Ian has been doing it for a half an hour. I want to watch it before I pass out.
I know.
Yeah,
I have such
think
a
you're about to
crush on
pass out.
Alessi, and I didn't realize how he's like 70. I was like, oh my
67.
gosh.
He's 66.
Seven.
Let's see. 67. Yeah.
That man can do more pull-ups than I can. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Probably.
He's had a bit of
folks
Botox.
who stayed behind, thank you. Thank you for staying behind and watch myself get ruined. Everybody, get over to Ian's if you're not already over there. I'm going to redirect to that one. And thank you. I'm going to quickly go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you to Snagger Mama, Iron Rabbit, Lynn,
Oh dear.
K.A., Trinity, Stu the Limey. He's British. He has to be. Hospice, yes. Oh,
Shut up.
that's dark. Bob, shut up. Someone tell me where to give the money. L.M. McCalligal, the Squid. Oh, the Squid. Oh,
Oopsie.
Gangster Computer God. Canton's face fiction. I forgot about this. Do we know much about other trials Ghoul has presided over?
That is something I do want to look up. I want to see her
I know
reaction.
one.
Okay.
I know one. One that really pissed me off. I did a stream about this. She presided over a death penalty case back in 2000 or 1999, and it was before there was an embargo on actual executions. His name was Corcoran, I can't remember his first name. And actually, she had the chance to overturn his death penalty because the victim's family didn't want him to be executed, didn't want the murderer to be executed, right? And this was in 2024, around the time that she was, actually the day before she was about to sentence Rick Allen. She had the chance to overturn this man's death penalty, and she didn't, right? So 20-something years later, she was given the case back and able to overturn it, and she didn't, even though the family was like, no, we don't want him to be executed, right? And she went, no, execute him. And he was executed. He was the first person to be executed in Indiana in over 15 years because there had been an embargo on executions. This is how evil this woman is.
there has to be a deeper why, and that's what everyone has a motivation for what they do. And what bothers me is when I can't figure out the motivation. And I understand there's not always a why to evil. And I get that I probably piss people off with the Brian Koberger, he has Manson lamps. But that's what people see. And the problem is that we have to be real with, I think that Karen came off very severe. She looked very severe. She did look professional and everything, but I don't think that the interviews and possibly that accent softened her. I think they could have done a couple of things to soften her appearance. I understand she's sick. I understand she's dealing with everything. But there is a part of it that is optics, and I feel like some lawyers just don't get that. And with these cases becoming more of a media, a cottage industry in and of themselves, there needs to be some, point of view from regular lay people to kind of show these lawyers how they're coming off. I'm sure Brennan thought he was doing a wonderful job. He came off like a dipshit in a double-breasted suit who...
Well, in my
probably
opinion,
still
Brennan
wants to nurse with his mom.
Yeah, in my opinion, Brennan knew what his assignment was. He got paid a lot of money to do it. I believe he is probably going away with about $500,000 at least.
His closing argument was very, very good.
Yeah, I think his closing argument is better than people giving credit for.
Yeah. It was very good. It was convincing.
I think
folks,
it was good.
Before I pass out, thank you FMM 2.0. Thank you to Palmyra Media, who also gifted another 5 memberships. Thank you ODB, Hoodly Pip, Free Ricky B, Bay. Thank you to Recovery Addict. Oh, I missed it was Recovery Addict.
I am so
That was
jealous
like
of
2
his
hours
setup
ago.
and knowing how to do things.
Thank you to McKinley. Oh, thank you so much. April Nunya. Brown Eyed Girl. Thank you so much. Been there, done that. Oh, thank you. Mirage of Reality in Minnesota. Thank you. Megan Leckie. Thank you. DK. Thank you. James Winchester. Nordic Phoenix. Pink Slime gifted a membership. And Wings, thank you. Michelle Johans, Norwegian Krona. As much as I loved going to Sweden for vacation, you Swedish are the most disliked by other Scandic for a reason. Yeah, because we are better than you and you know it.
IKEA, because you make terribly hard to understand directions for people who don't put things together. And there's always 27 extra screws, and y'all make those little jam cookies that are going to make me never have a six-pack ever.
27 extra screws are much better than in the beginnings of IKEA, when
it's really those
didn't
cookies
get
that
all the screws. Vice baby, thank you so much. Thank you. EDW Raptor, thank you. Horse Welfare, thank you. Idiot Wind, who didn't write anything. 200 pounds, that's like $550. No, I have no idea. Free Ricky Bay again, $5. Wim, member for 23 months. He's more or less an OG from She.
No, Wim is Jason.
Cat, member for 15 months. Thank you. David Fajardo with the super sticker. Uncivil Law. Yeah, I did that. Pink Slime sent 15 to Cash App. Bank it, Nick. Yeah, we did. Spin 3 times right now. Well, sort of. Thank you, Dave. David James, thank you so much. David James again, thank you so much. And David James again, thank you so much. Derek Crosson, one of my PayPal monthly. Thank you. Yes, you can actually donate to this channel monthly via PayPal. Free Ricky Bay again, thank you. And here's David James again. And Tishay, Australian. It's
Hey,
one
yeah.
of yours, I think.
Hey, Ozzy.
Truth Seeker. Caligal again, thank you so much. And then Dalit Talk. Do you need help ending the stream? No, I don't.
Clearly.
Everybody,
Oh,
thank you.
Cersei.
Thank you to all the people here. Go watch my stuff. You won't be disappointed. Subscribe to my Trial Watch Clips channel, where I have clips. Everybody, thank you again, and I will see you tomorrow. On my Clips channel, I will stream the entire week of Judge Simpson.
Ooh.
Thank you again. Fuck off. See ya. Bye-bye.